So good evening, everyone. Welcome once more to Njenje Media TV this evening, as usual. As many of you must have learned, we will be doing justice to the Buhari's interview with Arise TV today. And as the interview did go, many of you will see that Buhari spoke on a wide range of issues. And these are issues that people have been clamoring before that the president should speak to them. And today, the president indeed spoke to Nigerians. Now, to bring content analysis to the conversation the president had this morning with the Arise team, I have the privilege here to analyze that with me. I would like to bring in the CEO and publisher of Elombah.com, in the person of Daniel Elombah. Mr. Daniel Elombah, you're welcome to Njenje Media TV.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on the program.
Thank you. So the next person that I'm going to be bringing about, so many of you already know him, so many of you commented on his engagement on the other day. I will be bringing in Marcel NGOGBEHEI. Marcel is the director, strategy director of Marcel, help me once more.
Governance Index.
Governance Index. Sorry about that. Marcel is the strategy director of Governance Index. So we will quickly, because one of our guests will be leaving slightly early, we will quickly get into the meat of the conversation where we will play the videos and we will analyze bit by bit what the president said. Now, like I said before, the president covered a wide range of issues, ranged from security, also as we had Twitter, the issue that, raging issue that he had with Twitter, and the devolution of power, corruption, national debt, the issues surrounding around IPOP and the Southeast in general, his appointment of the military chief, the Buhari legacy, what he will be remembered for. Also, he went further and deep dived into open grazing and talked about gazetting and grazing routes. These are things that many of us are already watching it and saying we do not agree on some of the things he said, but hey, this is the reason why we are here. Now, there are some of the key topics that have seized our national conversation in the last several years, and so most of the president's answer were quite, you can say, some people here already said that it's quite predictable. On security, the president says that he's almost overwhelmed. So let us not really go much into detail here. Let me bring some of the, let me bring my co-discussant and people to help me analyze this interview today to have a word or two on this. Now, may I start with Mr. Elombah? Mr. Elombah, if I ask you, what is your general perception on this interview since you've watched it?
Yes, my general impression of the interview that President Muhammadu Buhari had today with Arise Television is that that is the Buhari we know. And he did not disappoint. First of all, I am happy that he gave this interview because it gave us insight into his thinking. It ended all speculation, first about his health, second about his mental capacity, and third, who is in charge of his government. So while we may have all this, first, let me speak first of all with regards to his health. Yes, Buhari is healthy, we can see that. Buhari has his mental capacity, we can see that. So that ended that speculation. Then secondly, is he aware of his environment? Yes, Buhari is aware. So we can no longer say, oh, it is this person directing the government, oh, it is the other person. Whatever decision Buhari is taking, or whatever decision, whatever action this government has taken since 2015 has been taken or approved by President Muhammad Buhari. So let us not, if it is good, he takes the credit now. If it goes wrong, he also takes the credit now. Then thirdly, my other impression is that he gave us an idea into his thought processes. We will go into details later about what he said and what he failed to say. But one thing is clear. We now know what President Buhari thinks about IPOB. We now know why Buhari appoints only Northerners in his administration, in the critical sectors of government. We now know what Buhari thinks about the Fulani migration. We now know why Buhari has a relationship with Niger, Chad, and other Nigerian neighboring countries. We now know how Buhari feels about Igbo presidency. That is on a whole range of controversial issues. We now know what Buhari thinks about the NSAS program. He said that the NSAS is meant to push him out of office. So we now know Buhari's position.
We will get into those details because we're going to take them segment by segment. Now, exactly. in a couple of seconds, Marcel, are you able to tell us your general view about that interview?
He didn't disappoint. It was mostly what is expected. The only new thing that came on board is at least people were able to see him talk. I mean, that's the only new thing that I saw. I have tried to see which other president in the world can I compare Buhari to in terms of what I've seen of the president of a country today. I couldn't. So let's just leave it at that. He has spoken and he has bared his mind. And I think Elombah has said most of the things that he's... Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, Dan, if I come back to you, what's your impression? Actually, when last night a friend sent me the invite that interview was going to happen today, I went back straight to say what time, and he came back saying 8 o'clock. What's your, I tuned in 8 o'clock, hoping to see, thinking that since it was going to be in Lagos, that interview was going to happen in Lagos. But sadly, that interview happened in Abuja, and it happened that interview was recorded. What's your impression? Is it that it is impossible that the president can speak to us live? Why do you think that interview was recorded?
Well, in as much as I agree that President Buhari has his mental capacity intact, but still, you are a television man, so to say. You are a technical video technicalities man, so you can see where the program jumped from one section to the other. So you can see cut join points in that interview. And so Buhari is being managed carefully. They will not take the risk of having Buhari give a live 60.
So let me stop you there. If Buhari is being managed, as you just said now, doesn't that invalidate what you said before, that Buhari is in fact in charge and has his mental faculties intact? So if you have your mental faculties intact, why are you being managed?
Yes, the Buhari is still being managed because while I say he has his mental capacity intact, because he demonstrated cognizance. He has cognition of the issues. He could recall, I discussed with the French president. I saw the South governors give a speech. He had an opinion on some of those controversial issues, so they were not being put into his mouth. However, you will still have to manage him because he can say things that could be very, very, very controversial.
So that's what, okay, that interview, as I understood, the one, remember he gave the same, that sort of interview to us 2 years ago. And that interview was about 90 minutes. In fact, not even about, it was 90 minutes. Now, this one was about 46 minutes, which we're going to play. So don't you think, Marcel here, don't you think that they planned 90 minutes and maybe one or two things made them cut it down to about 46 minutes?
Maazi, the people that can tell you exactly what happened are the movie actors that are all in the room with him. You know, when you are shooting movies, there are situations when the movie director will say 1, 2, 3, then it clips, and then you go on, and then he say cuts, and then when things does not act on, it's okay, rewind. You know, all those kind of things. So what you saw is like a Nollywood, you know, video that was stage managed and was supposed to be. So maybe you're expecting a season 1 that will last up to 2 hours, and suddenly you are being given 44 minutes. The only person that can tell you what happened are those guys that interviewed him. I think the 2 guys are one of that lady, if they can be truthful to Nigeria. Because let me also tell people, whatever you do, whether you collude or not, your integrity is at stake. And integrity, just like the feather of a butterfly, once it is touched, can never be recovered. So Ruben Abati and the other lady and Adeni or whatever, they need to tell Nigerians what happened behind the scene. What you saw was a movie, Nollywood movie, you know.
So basically, you're telling us we saw a finished product, not how
it's not a finished product. It's a Nollywood movie. I mean, if you know how Nollywood acts their movie, I mean, you will understand.
Okay, we will quickly go into there. But Dan, what do you have to say?
If I be charitable, if I want to say what Marcel said in another way, I will say, yes, it may have been a 90-minute interview, but a lot of things you are cut out. When you see where Ruben Abati said, no, NGOGBEHEI, when I say last question, then check the previous question. There was no indication that question from NGOGBEHI will be the last one. And then, like I said, you can, if you're a technical man, you will be able to tell clearly where there was those cut and join places in that interview. So I agree with Marcel, but I wouldn't go so far as saying that he said Hollywood.
Dan, you said he has his mental capacity intact. I do not know your definition of mental capacity. I mean, when you look at what we call mental capacity, ability to be able to assimilate, speak coherently, and then articulate things and talk. So, if somebody is being stage managed to talk and videos are being made to cut and join, would you say that? I mean, would you say that the mental capacity is intact? So, look, we have gotten a baggage. I mean, let's just be honest to ourselves. We gotten a baggage, and I wasn't expecting anything. I didn't watch the live session. I just started to quickly go snipe through it, to see. I mean, and I wasn't disappointed. So we got a baggage, and let's just manage our flat tires until.
Okay. Now let's gentlemen, thank you very much once more. For those of you who just joined us now, especially those of you joining us on Facebook, and on Twitch, and also on YouTube. Again, you might want to let us know where you're watching us from. This is being streamed live on Njenje Media TV on Facebook and on YouTube. And also here, we're also live on Elombah televisions on Facebook. So you can go to these various platforms, ensure that you like the platform, you like the video, do us that favor and share this video as well. Now, this is the video here before us. We are going to do segment by segment analysis, and to understand, 3 of us look at this critically now to analyze and say what the president said, what his body language said, and what he probably didn't say, but his body language did say that. Thank you, many of you. I can see that we have people watching from Jakarta, Indonesia, Germany, United Kingdom, Italy, all over the world. Guys, you people are awesome. Again, those of you on YouTube, if you're able to support the channel, that's fine. We would appreciate that. So let's crack on. I'm going to play the first segment here, first starting by the introduction, then we will take it from there.
Of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, being hosted this morning by the Arise News channel.
Now, let me start from here. I felt like I was being lied to, because when Ndoka started, he said, being hosted this morning. And the morning he's being referred to, the president is in Ebute Metta in Lagos, commissioning the Ebute Metta rail station. And here it is being presented to us as if that happened that day. That's my candid opinion. Then let's continue.
We are engaging the president on the future of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and what to expect over the next 2 years of his administration. Mr. President, thank you very much for hosting us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President. The nation is witnessing rising insecurity, banditry, arson, kidnapping. How did we get here? What's the way out?
When we came, it has been a very difficult undertaking. But we closed the borders with Benin Republic. We closed the borders with Niger Republic. We stopped smuggling. We asked Nigerians to grow what they will eat and eat what they grow. The cost of importation of rice and other food stuff, we stopped it. We made fertilizer available. And we were very impressed and happy with the reaction of Nigerians. They went back to the farm. And we made sure our neighbor, especially Nigeria, understand us, because there are Nigerians that order food in Niger for Nigerian market. The Nigerian government cooperated with us. So really, we defended on ourselves, and Nigerians do not regret it. Corruption is...
Now, let me stop here before we get into corruption. He said, let me not repeat what he said. Guys, you listen to what he said. So, Dan, what's your take on that?
Let me quickly say one point regarding the introduction. You are correct. Buhari, when you start the third interview, you are given the impression that that's a live interview happening this morning. But now when you listen to Buhari at that point, say, I will commission this tomorrow, whereas the thing is being commissioned today. So that gives you an idea that this interview was recorded yesterday. Now, with regards to closing the borders, I think President Buhari is being clever by half. Our borders with Niger Republic was not closed. It was only Nigeria borders with Benin Republic that was closed. Our northern borders remain open, as everybody saw the videos and the reports we are getting. My network gave the information that the northern borders were open. And of course, whether Nigeria were able to grow, is able to become self-sufficient in food production, that one is open for debate.
But if I have to take you, if you said now that Buhari is not being entirely truthful here, so does it mean that he's not aware that the borders were not closed? If I take, sorry, but that's how you started this program, that he's entirely intact. So does that invalidate again the statement you made at the beginning?
No. I think Buhari is aware that northern borders were not closed. Okay. Just, I think this is one instance where Buhari become a politician. Let me put it that way.
Okay, so Marcel.
Now, I read in between the lines. He said that there was some kind of agreement with Njenje, and Njenje understood. So it is that agreement that we might need to dig into. Maybe the agreement says do a partial close or assume I have closed but keep it open. You know, this kind of thing. So those agreements are what we need to really. What kind of agreement did they have with Njenje that they couldn't have with Benin Republic and the other zones? So I mean, see, the more he speaks and the more I hear him talk and the more he comes up, and you see a lot of controversy. You know, a lot of, now tell me, does it sound believable? I mean, at least we have established the fact that the video was recorded moments ago, not live. So that's the first lie.
No, yesterday, the video was recorded yesterday.
And see, let me be honest with you. Arise TV also has, I don't know the kind of MOE or whatever they must say. Arise TV also have their name on this thing. And that's why I usually tell people that you need to be very, very careful in what you indulge into. If I'm running a TV station, I need to come open to my audience. I don't know, the presidency can ask me to lie, but I need to come open to my audience.
Yeah, but Marcel, in fairness to Arise TV, they said it will be aired. They didn't say live. It could be that we are assuming that when a president speaks, he ought to speak live. To be heard means, because today I might shoot a video, and that because we have a lot of running, we can premiere these videos like we did today. So we can say on this time, this video will be premiering, but that doesn't mean that that video was recorded at that time.
Okay, maybe I give it to them, but we already know that when the president wants to speak to his people, it's usually live.
Okay, well,
is a given. When anybody
we have requested for the president to speak, and now he has spoken. Let us go ahead and
he has spoken.
let us go ahead.
Very difficult under this system.
Corruption.
Even under the military system. Luckily, I have experienced both occasions. When I collected people, put them in Kirikiri or somewhere and said they are guilty until they can prove themselves innocent, and put investigation panels based almost on the geopolitical zone for people that held positions, governors, ministers, commissioners, heads of parastatals, because then people don't get that position until they declare their assets. Then they are faced with the bank statements and their assets. If they cannot explain, the balance is taken away from them. But what happened? Eventually, I myself was arrested, detained, and they were given back what they have looted. So that's why I wear Agbada and join and see what this partisan politics is all about. I will not change, but the system here, those who have the money, they can take sons, first-class lawyers. Cases will take 10 years. And doing things with immediate effect was not possible. But I assure you that in spite of the problem we are having with the system, whoever we have correct intelligence that he's not being very accountable, we ease him out. We don't give it too much publicity. But I assure you that those who are responsible, who are holding responsible positions, know that we don't tolerate corruption.
So now, guys, let's come back here.
Maazi, this is without you asking me this question, this is one of the most annoying part of the interview to me. There are three annoying parts, but this is the most annoying, the first annoying part of this interview to me. First of all, let me speak on Buhari still continues to give this idea that I'm a military man. I want to do this way, but now democracy is forcing me to do it. Man, you contested election for years of years. You have now the same thing you are talking on May 29, 2015. You are repeating on June 10, 2021. You should now be able to say.
So, Marcel, I think Dan, check your audio, Marcel. Here is a president who has the power.
Am I taking off?
No, you're here. You're still here. Okay, go ahead.
We can see
back. Go ahead, you're back. Dan, can you hear us?
But are you hearing me? Your voice is now so low.
We can hear you now. We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, so then the other part of the interview, which I found annoying, is that you are fighting corruption. When you catch someone in your government that engages in corruption, you quietly ease him out. Please, go on. Okay. Marcel, your point.
Well, thank you very much. So, Marcel, what do you think on this segment, what he said here?
See, the more I hear Buhari talk, I think I'm really beginning to like him to some extent, because again, he bears his mind, he bears his mind. Maybe the mistake we also made was that we mistook him for something else. He is what he is, and then maybe some people packaged him and sold him as being changed. You can hear me. I bet you, if Buhari was not packaged and all the propaganda, all the media propagandas around him were not done, when Buhari was campaigning, he's going to tell you exactly what he's going to do. So to that I give it to him, at least to some extent. He's very honest and open. In terms of the corruption, he has told you how he wants to handle it. Your laws are not letting him handle it. So I think he's good. Let's just move on.
So, but again, one thing that I think I picked up myself is where the president is telling us that during the time when he was a military man, that you have to prove yourself. But here he is giving excuses why people cannot even declare assets. I don't know if you guys heard about that part. He talked about assets declaration. Now, and you wonder, you promised during the election that before you will come into my cabinet, you will make your asset declaration public. So it's something you control. You appointing minister, it is within you, not anybody, not National Assembly. It is you. Even if it's when a governor gives you or recommends somebody, even if anything happens, it is you who says, I want to take Mr. A and I'm going to submit Mr. A's name to. And sadly, none of his ministers, none of those that he has given appointment is, none of them do we have any information, neither himself. Remember how the media, how we had to cry for him to even do that mumbo jumbo that he did as if he was bringing up something, which falls short of what same man from the same Castina, in the person of late Umaru Yaradua, who did not campaign that he was going to make his asset declaration public anyway. But by the virtue of the fact that he wanted to be an upright man, he made photocopies available to the press. Again, Marcel, do you have the photocopy of the presidential asset or the president's asset declaration?
There was something that came on board, but I think at the end of the day, it was denied that it wasn't his that is only you needed his consent to have something declared. I followed that then, but Maazi, I see, when I look at politics, it takes someone that is intact and that has a very firm mind and that can stand his ground. Otherwise, politicians are going to roll you around, you know. So if you look at Buhari, he doesn't seem, maybe the politicians had run circles on him. He doesn't seem to be in full control. So maybe when he gets to a point, he just you know, hands up and then throw things away and probably retrieve to himself. Unfortunately, that is the president that has been sold to us, and that's the president we have. As far as I'm concerned, the president would have been able to say, if I did not see an asset declaration, do not send this name to the Senate and end it. That's a presidential order. And then by the time, and then he gives you a timeline, you know. And see, when you are presidential and you make a matching order, especially to the people around you, they will comply. If I say, okay, I'm sending this name to the Senate in the next 2 weeks. If I don't see your asset declaration on my table, or if the CCB does not confirm to me that your asset has been declared within 1 week, I'm going to take you out of that list and put in someone. And then I get people on standby. Everybody will comply. But I didn't see him stand his feet on ground. Probably one of the excuses. See, I'm sorry, Maazi, Buhari is very good at giving the excuses. So I hope you know. He can give excuses for even breathing. So you need to understand that. And when you look at it from that perspective, even this whole interview, he never took responsibility for anything. He just gives excuses and push the blame to someone else. So you will see more of this as we go.
Okay, so let's crack on, guys.
The cow is reported dead. Does that give an opportunity for us to zero in and consolidate and secure the Northeast?
The problem of the Northeast was very difficult. The governor, the present governor, is working very hard. He's taking a lot of risk. And I asked him, this Boko Haram, is it our people? That means, is it Nigerians or people coming out? He said, they are Nigerians, most of them. They are Nigerians. As I said, the only way we got them around was that You can't kill innocent people and said God is great. That worked very well, but I think we have a problem of unemployment. We have a problem of a lot of youth looking basically for what to eat, not even to talk of accommodation or dress. The level of poverty is almost unimaginable. So this is a problem. But those who are really keeping in touch with what we are doing, they know the difference between the time we came in and now. And the people of Northeast and South, I think, are the best judges for the performance of this administration, because they know what they were in and they know the condition now. Okay.
Now, this part of the segment started by making allusion to the death of Shakal. He started answering that question, ignoring totally that part that talked about Shakal, which I personally felt, he missed a mileage there, where he probably should have touched on the death of Shakal and maybe moving into the next expectations. Daniel, what's your take?
You see, in this interview, when I'm reading people's comments on this interview, you see a lot of people are concentrating on the incoherent parts of the interview and where he completely went off on a different tangent from answering the question. Yes, this is one of them, but I personally, I wasn't actually concentrating on the incoherent aspects of the interview. But if you must, this is one of the areas where he completely ignored the question that was asked and started talking about something else. This is one of them.
Because somehow he ended up with South, and Northeast. But I don't know, I can't remember that the Shakal was ever occupying South. Marcel.
Yeah.
He was trying to tell you that maybe Northeast was a hotbed, so the people there would tell whether it has calmed down or not. And then South has been a well-behaved child, I think we know Osibanjo went to that area when the trouble was about starting and things were sorted out. So he wasn't directly telling you he's taking credit for those 2 locations, but we have 6, so 2 all over 6 is a failure. Let's assume we give him, the one he has mentioned. And then the part that also struck me was that he was really, really trying to give excuse for the Boko Haram incidents in the north by saying that there is hunger in the land, there is unemployment, high level of unemployment, people could hardly eat. See, Maazi, let me be honest to you. We need the original copy of that recording. I'm telling you the truth. Because do you see how from when he spoke about unemployment, youth, and everything, that then he switched to Northeast and South. When you get the original copy of that recording, not all this cut and join one that tends to give you an impression, you will fully understand the mindset of the president. But then from the snippets that we're getting, he is practically making excuses for the banditry in the north.
And what's your take? In one of his answers, he said that the Northeast, in his answers when asked, obviously, that question, he said that the governor, I think it's Matawale or whatever, told him that the people are indigenous. And again, bear in mind, this is a governor that came barely 2 years, and you have been in office as the CNC for 4 years before the governor came in. Is it that the governor who just came in now is telling you who's been committing this crime in the last 4 years before you come in? I mean, or maybe am I missing anything here, Dan?
Yeah, well, like I said, this is one of the areas where you tell me, Dan, you are wrong in your assessment that our president has mental cognition.
in fact, this is one of the parts of the interview where people will question whether our president has his full mental capacity intact. This question should have elicited information about Shekau that Nigerians are anxious. For instance, who killed him? How did he die? How is it that Shekau has died 5 times? So it appears that I know more about Shekau than President Buhari does. But this is an area where he will have demonstrated inside knowledge that Nigerians that will answer the questions of Nigerians and demonstrate confidence in his capacity to fight Boko Haram. But like you noted, he completely went away from the question and started talking about something else. And then, like if a governor is telling you, you told us at the beginning of this interview at some point that you receive security briefings every day, every morning. So, but now it is the governor now telling you who Boko Harams are. It doesn't make sense to me.
And I think, again, as the president of a federation, I think it was also a missed opportunity, because it was a missed opportunity that, one should have had that level of authority to say, yes, maybe ISWAP or whatever killed this guy, but I assure you that we are going to now moving in that vacuum to utilize that vacuum, deal with ISWAP. Some speak with some, I don't know, maybe I'm expecting too much, but still, speak with some level of confidence. But again, I don't, this particular segment, I don't see that confidence there. But anyway, that's an opinion. So let's continue with the analysis, people.
I was Kashina last year, at the height of the insecurity of these banditries. Like, insecurity has moved from the northeast to the northwest. People can no longer go to farm. How do you respond to some of these challenges, especially banditry in the northwest?
Well, I had series of meetings. The whole security apparatus was changed, as you know. All the service chiefs and the IGs went. The ones that succeeded them had been part of the system. So we had series of meetings with them, at least 3 meetings, each one lasted more than 2 hours. Firstly, I allowed them to go around, and see the position on the ground. They made changes in their officers and commands and the men. And we told them that we want confidence to be rebuilt. As you observe, people to go back to the land so that we wouldn't have food problem. And I think that is being done. We are giving it less publicity because we don't want to make them aware that we are taking them head on. But I think those who are in the field know they have been suffering a lot of casualties. And we stopped, for example, mining in Zamfara State. We expelled the foreigners, and we are talking to the government, although he is not in the federal government's party, but we want to secure Zamfara, Sokoto, and so on. And we mentioned Katsina and so on. But the important thing is the question of local security apparatus. We have police in every town. And I've been talking to the police, trying to push them as hard as I can. They don't wear uniform and sling their rifle just to intimidate people, but to make sure, if necessary, they use it to bring security. In the northeast, you know what was happening. In the south house, you know. I too was almost overwhelmed by what is happening in the northwest. But we are treating them as criminals now. They are experiencing a lot of casualties. They will not say it because they don't want to demoralize their recruitment constituencies. But they are suffering a lot of casualties. We know that.
So, what is your take on this particular question Actually, that was had to do with Castina. But again, you see where we've ended that answer.
Well, my brother, I think that the four Arise staff, Obaibwena, Adeni Abati, and the lady, I've forgotten her name, before they conducted this interview, I think they were sworn to an oath not to laugh. I think they must have signed an agreement and sworn before whatever gods they worship, never to laugh during this interview. Having said that, I'm not laughing either. A president should be able to demonstrate competence. A president must be able to inspire confidence in the subjects. The most important problem before Nigerians now is security. And if you notice, this interview almost security dominated the entire interview. And now you are asked a question about a particular incident that started with your administration. When you came in, Nigerians were confronting Boko Haram, Northeast. But now, it appears Northeast is getting quieter and all other parts of the country are burning. He should be able to say this is what caused it, what we are doing about it, and this is where we are in the fight against banditry and so on. But unfortunately, our president did not do that. And it's not a laughing matter. It's not a laughing matter.
I wish we can cry. So, Marcel?
Maazi, like I told you in conversations, I look out for the unspoken words. You know, somebody speaks and then you look at him and you pick the little that he has spoken and then you try to project it and say, what are the unspoken words? So there are a few things I heard. He is seeing this. He's. I feel he's agreeing that the former security chiefs and everybody has failed. So he brought in a new security. So that's the first time I'm seeing him, acknowledging that the new security chiefs are brought in for this feeling that the old one has failed. Okay, so I got that in. Then he's now coming to say maybe there has been a new order to be massless. So he's saying they are recording casualties. Okay, so maybe for the past 4 years, we've not been fighting the war. Maybe is the coming of this new chief of staffs and the security apparatus that they have renewed war, because I heard something like now, so he didn't say we have been dealing with them all the way. He said we are now doing this, so like I said, I look at unspoken words, and the more you listen to it, the more you begin to see exactly most of the accusations you have in the public sphere is like a confirmation that he has just come open to say, okay, this is it. And then I also see a president that doesn't seem to believe in the intelligence of his intelligence officers, and that gives you the feeling, again, my feeling, that there are some people he trusts that he can ask, just like he could ask the governor of a particular governor. I was expecting him to ask his chief of staff and his military intelligence, about what is happening. But he said he asked a governor and he believed what the governor told. So he took a governor to tell him that those ones were Nigerians, that they were not, So it looks as if there's a group of people he trusts, and those group of people are the people that run circles around him. So again, I am looking from the unspoken words, from what was spoken. I remember this is a doctored, it's not the real thing. Like I told you, I will really yearn to get hold of the raw thing. Then you would have a better understanding of what is happening.
Are you planning to hack the
No. I just pray someday it leaks. I mean we have WikiLeaks. I don't know how long it's gonna be. We have WikiLeaks and all that. I just pray someday he leaks. But then the people I know, they will probably have destroyed it. But the only people that can come out and recall, because again, you might not have destroyed the brain of the people there. They recollected what happened. So we will be looking at Ruben Abati and Adini and some other guys that were in that room to come open and recollect, tell us what happened.
If we honestly want to hear, I believe like Adeni, Shegun Adeni wrote that book he wrote after his boss, late Musa Yar'Adua died. Maybe we might get to see some of these things when the president, whenever is no longer there. So I believe we have to exercise patience.
And the Maazi, I mean, if those guys are, I wouldn't want to see if they are smarters. You remember that people wrote books on Trump and they make billions of while Trump is in power. So you see those people on that seat, if they write a memo.
No, but this is not Nigeria. But this is, don't take it. You're taking the imagination too far.
No,
it's Nigeria. They can only write after.
Maazi, I am telling you that it is not imagination. I know they must have signed some.
Even if without signing anything, my brother.
You cannot, even without signing, it can be
signing anything. You cannot, as long as it's cut out there. Honestly, it's morally unfair for you to begin to, just like recording somebody without telling that person you're doing so. So again, I don't see them doing that. And if you ever do, that means you must have relocated your family, your grandmother, your mother-in-law.
And not only that, even if nothing happens to you, you must have breached them an unspoken agreement. Gentlemen,
the guys that served in Trump government that stepped out and wrote a book about Trump, what do you call that?
No, that's a different system altogether. That's a different system altogether.
Okay. You see the problem, when we want to compare, we say Nigeria should be like America, and then when we now say do what Americans are doing, we say no, he's not in our system.
No,
see,
but they fell out.
No.
These people fell out and they started writing, so it's a different ballgame. But anyway,
it only takes someone with an iota of integrity to say this is what it is. Maybe not now.
Marcel, hold on. Dan is about to leave, but Dan, if you may give us a couple of minutes, I want you to look at this next segment before you leave, please. Would you mind?
Okay.
Please. Let's play this. Yes. Then I will get your input.
Mr. President, still on the issue of security.
Yes.
Each zone you would have witnessed has sort of taken matters into their own hands with different kind of security apparatus, like the civilian JTF, Amotekun, and what have you. Has the time come to now formalize state police in Nigeria?
I have seen, or I have been reading it in the newspapers. Those of us who are old enough to know the old NA police and so on. That time, the traditional institutions leaders were very effective. In each community, I will give you one example of recent. 2 governors from the Southwest came to tell me that the cattle rearers in some of the forests there have killed farmers while their cattle were eating on their crops. So I told them, you campaigned to be elected, and you are elected. He said, yes. I said, go back and sort out yourselves. Because there has been a system, as all of us here could recall, even your local government, when there are security at each level, at local government, at state, it consists the traditional leaders in that area who have been there for generations. So they know all the crooks in their locality. Then the police, then those who come, whether they are cattle rearers or influential traders, they are part of it. They meet either monthly or quarterly, and discuss the security within that level. If it is above them, they pass it on. So I told those governors to go back and go to the old system so that they will have intelligence. They will know what is happening in their constituencies. They just can't go around and win election and then sit tight and think somebody will do their job for them. I just send them back.
Mr. President, the 17 governors in the southern part of the country recently called for restructuring. They also announced a ban on open grazing in the southern states. But despite that, the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami SCN, said they didn't know what they were talking about. But what exactly is your own opinion on open grazing? What steps are you planning to take to put an end to farmers-herders clash?
You want me to contradict My Attorney General. Okay. What I did was ask them to go and dig the Gazette of First Republic when people were obeying laws. There's cattle routes and grazing area. Cattle routes where when they are moving up country, north to south or east to west, they have to go through there. If you allow your cattle to stray into any farmer's farm, you are arrested. The farmer is invited to submit his claims. The alkali or the judge will say, oh, I pay. If you can't, the cattle is sold. And if there is any balance, you are given. And people are behaving themselves. And in the grazing areas, they built earth dams, put windmills, in some places even veterinary departments, so that the herders are limited. Their route is known, their grazing area is known. If they have any problem from the locality is known. But I'm telling you, this rushing to the center, you know, people just, I think. So I asked for the gazettes, you know, to make sure that those who encroached on these cattle routes and grazing areas will be dispossessed, you know, and try to bring some order back into the cattle areas. The problem is trying to understand the culture of the cattle rearers. There is a cultural distance between the Tips and the Fulanis. So the governor of Benue said, I'm not disciplining the cattle rearers because I'm one of them. I cannot refuse to say I'm not one of them, but he's been very unfair to me. And I told him that the Nigerian cattle rearer was not carrying anything more than a stick, sometimes with a machete to cut some trees and give it to anymore. But those sophisticated ones, they are good with AK-47. So from all the Sahel areas, people rush to Nigeria, you know, and Fulani from Mauritania or from Central Africa look the same. So they think they are Nigerian ones. And I assure you that we are trying to resuscitate these cattle routes, grazing areas, and make them accountable. And then this cancelling of taxes. Ordinary people like it, but the problem of accountability, you know, when taxes are being paid, people are behaving themselves. But now without taxation, people are doing what they like.
Now, gentlemen, John, because I know you are leaving, I'll push this question to you for two reasons. One, you're leaving. The other one, you're a lawyer. I picked 3 points that I want you to address. The president, when this question was asked to him, started talking about the Gazette of the First Republic. Now, please refresh my memory. Which one is now more superior? The Land Use Act that basically came after whichever gazette that was done. Now again, he talked about the Fulanis. By the virtue of his statement, correct me if I'm wrong, it appears he's not giving any thinking. It appears he's not giving any support to grazing. That means we must embrace, or we must brace ourselves that more is going to come, because from the comments and from the answers he gave, that in my estimation, there is no succor. That means that we must understand, in his words, we must understand the culture of the headers. We must, not that the headers must understand that the time has changed, but we, sitting in our farms, sitting in our houses, must understand those invading us. I don't know, what's your take?
Okay, I said there are 3 annoying parts of this interview. This is the second most annoying part of this interview. First, you see where he said 2 Southwest governors.
I think you have actually exceeded 3 already because.
No. And he said that he told the Southwest governors to go back and implement what was done 100 years ago in the 21st century. That they should start and call village heads to start giving him intelligence. And this is arising from a question about state police and state vigilantes. Very, very, very annoying. And then he now jumped over to the question of, like you just pointed out, the Fulanis. And the annoying part, he said, the Fulanis we know, like we always say in our Zoom meeting anyway, are the normal Fulani herdsmen who go around with sticks. Buhari said, acknowledges, I was doubting it. I said, if I have ever seen the Fulani with AK-47, show me. Now, President have said, yes, so there are actually Fulani herdsmen going around with AK-47. And he did not say, we will catch them and disarm them and tell them, no, you cannot. No. Buhari didn't say that. Buhari said, look, understand the culture of the Fulani. Like he told the Benue State governor, then accommodate them, go and live with them, brothers. So, Buhari here, people will ask first. I think his old age is catching up with him around this time. He still continues to live in the past. Calling, like you said, a gazette that was done in the First Republic, whereas we now have relevant laws. And Buhari seems to forget that the laws of Nigeria actually bans open grazing. There was a court judgment that banned open grazing in Nigeria. They only don't want to implement our laws against open grazing. On this area, Governor Ganduje of Kano demonstrated more modernity, who said that open grazing is past and should be stopped. Even Kaduna State Governor El-Rufai also said that. Then a lot of modern governors who also have cattle said, look, let's move into ranching. So, well, El-Rufai said that we should not vote for governors who doesn't know what BlackBerry is, who continues to live in the past. Buhari continues to live in the past, and that will tell Nigerians, you voted for him. You have never that is what you bargained for, you are having. My final comment with this, well, Nigerians, sorry, you have to bear this for the next 2 years, and then after next 2 years, you start rebuilding your country. It's unfortunate.
Now, before you leave, what of the comments he made alluding to not contradicting his AGF?
Well, for those who are in the know, people always say that the AGF is the mouthpiece of the cabal around the president. So maybe Buhari is even afraid also to contradict the mouthpiece of the cabal. But then Buhari failed to tell us what he actually thinks about state police, because that is the question. The question is, the 17 southern governors had a meeting and say, we will do this. Your AGF said no. What do you think? Buhari did not answer that question. So we don't know what his thinking is about state police, although he gave us his thinking readily about open grazing. So he supports his AGF. No, I think AGF only spoke on state police, not open grazing. So he had no opinion on state police. He doesn't want to talk on something that his AGF has demonstrated opinion on, but he will readily tell you about the Fulani grazing, because whether he wants to deny it or not, they are his kinsmen, even those from Mali, even those from Mauritania, even those from Libya carrying AK-47. Buhari just confirmed today that they are his kinsmen. Let us just allow them to roam about.
But I actually learned something today. I've been hearing about the herdsmen coming from Mali. I never heard about the Mauritanian. So today, the president is actually putting up a new one to us, that his cousins are coming from.
That is why I told you that Buhari is aware. Buhari should stop. Let us not deceive ourselves. Buhari is aware. It is different between. There's a difference between being aware and being incompetent. So it's either he is aware and incompetent to do anything about it, or he is aware and doesn't want to do anything about it.
Okay. Well, Dan, we will let you go, but we are expecting you to join us quickly, please.
All right.
Dan, sorry. Before
Marcel, I'll come back to you.
Do you realize that this is the only question he answered without inconsistency? He was very coherent. Did you notice that?
I didn't. May you advise me then?
No, as in if you watch, he told a story that is consistent. a story from 100 years ago, okay, how it was they do, how somebody carries steak knife, cuts wood and gives somebody, and then, you know, he now took it up to the present stage. So in terms of someone that understands what the agenda is, or he understands what the whole thing is, he's telling you, in this particular area, I am alert and I know exactly what is happening, you know. So I agree with Dan when he says he's aware, but he decides either to play along or not to play along. But then one of the things that baffles me is 17 state governors. Is there anything stopping them from going ahead to implement what they have agreed? You know, state governors can domesticate laws, just like Benue has, you know, banned open grazing. So they can go ahead and ban open grazing. And just like the mouthpiece of the 17 governors says that the AGF should come and meet them in court. So again, we need to stop this feeling that the president is the law or that the AGF is the law. I mean, let us test our laws. They should go ahead, implement their pass it instead of assembly, domesticate it, and then use their people to you know, the only place I see problem is because, again, the federal control all the forces, you know, just like we are noticing in Imo State. So the federal can go in anywhere and quell even, and that's where I really have problems, especially when you have an irresponsible person at the federal level. So if a state makes a law, okay, and the federal government did not, now it is within their rights to make that law, and they made the law, and they try to enforce it within their own. I don't know how they will need to enforce it using the police and their judiciary, but the federal government controls the police. So the federal government says, I mean, I'm not agreeing with this. It's not as if the federal government says this is law or no law. It says I'm not agreeing with this. That means the federal governments can, by coercion, you know, go against the laws of the state. And these are what we would probably be seeing is already happening in Benue, you know, where there's a lot of killings as a result of the state bringing in banning open grazing. And then see, we're in for it. But one thing I can tell you is that this is one of the response. He was very coherent, he was very on point, and he communicated.
But on the you know, what's your view? Do you think he actually addressed the question of state police? Because that was actually the key part of that question.
But the politicians have learned the art of dodging questions. The areas they don't want to talk about, they just gloss over it. So the state police thing is, if he makes any comments on that area, it will be very controversial. Is either he supports it or not, and then he just simply, you know, gloss over it. He doesn't want to discuss it. But then, like I said, I still want to see governors that will go ahead and use the instrumentalities of the 1999 Constitution, the powers has given to them to protect their people. I mean, that is what it has come down to now. So, but the only fear I have is when a governor and a federal government disagrees, what happens? You know, I often hear people say that military cannot get into a state unless there is a consent of the governor. I want to believe that. So I think if that is the case, then governors can go ahead, make their laws. The only thing that will happen is that you see a lot of insecurity in that state, and then that will begin to tell you that most insecurity are actually instigated, you know, from external. I mean, so those are the things that you need to see. We are unveiling, you know, but I want to see the 17 southern governors go ahead and ban open grazing, and let's see if that insecurity will run across all the 17 states. Maybe what's happening in Benue now will now flow across all the 17 states. Then we will know what we're dealing with. Then your president has already acknowledged that people are coming into the country through the borders who he is supposed to protect, because the territorial integrity of Nigeria is the responsibility of the federal government. So he acknowledged that people are breaching those territorial integrity with weapons, but he didn't say whether he's going to deal with them or not. He just glossed it over. So, you know, we are like I tell you, spoken words and unspoken words. Nigerians, those people that are doubting, because these things are in the open, people are talking about it, but there are a lot of people that they feel that maybe they're lying, or they feel that people are just making up this. But this is the president saying it. So let's know if there's anybody that will come up and say maybe this is not order. Now, one thing we are sure, people are coming into the country with weapons. I mean, it's established. The president has said it. So
Okay, so let's get back and see if take some some of the segments.
Some of the things to residual and keep a few in concurrent, while you have a strong defense in the center.
Well, virtually local governments are virtually killed. You know it.
Yes, sir.
The 3 tiers of government, federal, state, and local government, if they are being followed properly, we wouldn't have all the social problems. But the problem is the local government have been virtually killed. And that is not good for this country. It's not good for this country because those who became the local government chairman have been compromised. If your local government is, say, entitled or is supposed to receive 300 million, a letter will be prepared for you to sign that you have received 300 million and you are given only 100 million.
So how can we reduce the powers of governors and give more powers to local governments? By writing a new constitution.
And reduce the powers of the president too.
While we're at it.
Yes.
The president has a lot of power. Okay, I think this question of accountability is very.
Now, Marcel, do you think when it comes to the question of local government autonomy, I don't know, what's your take on that? Because personally, I would say that again, he missed an opportunity of using the opportunity given to him to actually, because that is one area, in fairness to him, that is one area you can say he has done or he is doing a lot, that he missed an opportunity of telling his own story, using at the same time expressing his not anger, but expressing his not being able to achieve results, push it back to the governors who are the ones really doing a lot, not kind of blocking him off. But here again, he started telling stories without, in my view, getting into the nitty-gritties of basically saying that we appreciate that this is happening. That's why we are doing X, Y, Z in order to make this stop. And in this case, maybe the governors are not showing camaraderie here, and use the opportunity to call on them and even, understand, speak to the people direct, say, well, this is happening. I'm doing this on your behalf. But again, make sure that your governors are helping me to achieve results here. What's your take, Marcel?
Maazi, if the court gives judgment and the governors did not obey the court judgment, who is supposed to enforce it? Can you hear me, right?
Yes, of course I can. That's a rhetorical question. Obviously,
No, it is not a rhetorical question. It's a fact on ground. So see, we are smarter than all this cat and mouse game. The law of the land, the person that is supposed to ensure that the law of the land are obeyed and upright, equal justice, is the person that controls the instrumentality of coercion. Okay? And the president controls the instrumentality of coercion. If today that instrumentality of coercion is distilled down and there is a lot of autonomy between the security agencies, the judiciary, the police, if there's that autonomy, then I can begin to blame the governors, or I can begin to blame the arm that is not executing his job. But as it is now, when you get court judgments, even at times the military, they disregard the court judgments, the police, they disregard the court judgment. We have seen instances where this happened. Even at times there are instances where I suppose that the president could unilaterally decide not to obey court injunctions. And that is at the heart of what we are talking. So if there is separation of powers and then somebody decides to co-opt the money from another person, what is that person supposed to do? If the person believes in the rule of law, the person is supposed to go to court knowing that when court gives judgment, that judgment will be effected. But the local government chairmen are basically at the mercy of the governors. That is what it is. And it is because the law of the land respects people. The person that is controlling that law, the judicial authority and everything, respects people. So if today we have laws, we have judiciary that can make pronouncement. If I believe in the judiciary, why are Nigerians not going to court to fight for their rights? It's simply because they know that it's just fallacy. Everything that is happening there is just an arranged thing. So let the federal government put its foot on ground and institute the rule of law. The moment you institute the rule of law, people will go to court and challenge these things, knowing that once judgment is gotten, nobody can stop it. So that is the main thing. So Buhari being the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, he is the only one that can order the police, since the police are reporting to him directly. He's the only one that can order the police to ensure the enforcement of a particular court order. We all knew during Obasanjo times when governors were being flunked out, impeachment will happen and the next day police will barricade the whole place and a new governor will. That is what law are supposed to be. I know Obasanjo abused it, but if law actually works, once judgment is given, it will be enforced. So if me as a local government chairman, if I know that I am supposed to get 300 million and somebody decides to want me to sign 200 million and I refuse, and the person sees the money, and I know that if I go to court within 1 week, I will get judgment that will bar the person from doing that again. Tell me that will not stop. So
thank you very much there. So let's go ahead with the the rest of the segment here.
The schooling, especially education, is suffering so much. If, for example, during our generation, I spent 9 years in boarding school, and the teachers then treat us as they treat their own children. If you do well, you are brought before the classroom and praised.
Hold on. In secondary schools, are we no longer doing 6? Was it in their time? Was it 9 years or 6 years or 5 years even? Or maybe primary school as well?
Maybe I am too young to know, but I know there was a time the education system was changed to 6334 and all that. So maybe when he went to his school, they were doing 9 years.
Or maybe senior primary 3 years, then secondary school 3 years. I don't know. Okay.
If you misbehave, they remove your thing and plug you there in front of the class. So you just have to behave yourself. But now, one of the chaps from Ogun State, Pastor Bakari, he told me when he came back from America, he went to his alma mater, and he couldn't differentiate between the teachers and the children there. You see, the teachers used to take students as their children, and they have all the time for them. But problem, the standard virtually has collapsed. We have a lot of problem.
Wow. Which takes us to the next question. In the northern part of the country, many schools have been subjects of attacks. Now, if these schools are perpetually being attacked by bandits and terrorists, and you want to lift 100 million out of poverty, and their parents are also under threat, how do you think that goal of 100 million people out of poverty can be achieved?
Well, try and appreciate what efforts the federal government has done. One, we have removed all the service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police. We made new ones. We allow them to go around and see the problem. They have been part of it all the time, but now they are in charge. And we made sure that their priorities is to make sure they have brought normalcy people to accept the responsibility of their offices and perform. They are working very hard on that. We cannot give it enough publicity because we don't want to give fair warning to the real criminals. The ones from Northeast, you know, the ones in South, you know, the problem is the Northwest. The same people, same culture, killing each other, stealing each other's cattle, burning their villages. As I said, we are going to treat them in the language they will understand.
Now, Marcel, please, you might be able to help me out here because it appears I'm struggling. Here, the question was clear and direct about schools. But in my understanding, he's talking about service chiefs. Does it mean that the service chiefs are gone back to secondary schools? Or, you know, can you help me here?
Maazi, did you notice something? That was a repeat of the previous response he gave, exactly word for word. If you want, you can replay it. I mean, take your time and replay this particular response he gave. Look at it from exactly what. So it looks as if they just clipped the response he gave and then rematched it on this one, exactly word for word. And let me tell you, nobody will repeat exactly word for word in interviews. The person must be a genius. As in, you answer the question, you give word for word, and then the next question you also give the same word for word. I mean, replay it if you have time. Look at the timing of this one. Go back. You could get that timing. Look at it. It is word for word. So whoever has done the merging and cutting and pasting did a very nice job, you know. But what I also want to say is that devolve powers so that you could give more powers to people in the regions to be able to take charge of these things. No. Okay, you have the powers, do it. No. So I don't know where we are headed to. You hear him say that the people in the regions should go ahead and the governors should go ahead and solve their problem. They should do their security. You know, he's not devolving powers. He's holding the power, but he's not also asking them to do their, he's not also wanting to do the job. So we are in, but
no,
then
but take
note.
No, but if in fairness now, even if you want to talk about creating the creation of state police, that is not going to happen by him. That's a legislative issue where the you know, the exclusive list and concurrent list will be looked into and rearrangement agreed upon. So it's not entirely an executive issue anyway.
What is wrong if the executive decide to initiate bills? They initiated bills for Northeast, they initiated bills that are important to them.
Well,
so bills can be initiated by the executive.
You see, that's where I think, again, without sounding to defend him, if we are the ones actually clamoring for state police in the South, I would have been expecting the Southeastern caucus within the Senate or within the National Assembly to bring up such bill. Let it be that they brought it up and it was defeated. So why would we wait for the executive? If you think that the current executive thinks that this is going to be in their interest, why would you then expect them to take that action? I mean, to me, it doesn't, you know, I don't see that happening. But again, my question was very clear. Unless you want to do like the president now, my question was on the education and the way he moved away from the education and maybe said something else.
But I've just told you that it was the response he gave in his previous response that was just cut into it. So he didn't answer the question, or maybe he answered it and they took it off. Do you understand? I mean, if you want to, I know we don't have time, but for people that are watching, after this session, go back, replay this. He has exactly what he said, that the insecurity, we have sacked the army chiefs, we brought the new one, we have taken them around, they now understand exactly the same. So he didn't answer it.
Okay.
Or maybe he answered it and they clipped it off.
Okay. So again, let's continue quickly.
We have given the police and the military power to be ruthless.
But again, there is something he said here. Let me quickly come back here again. I think he made this statement here to counter that comment he made on Twitter that led to Twitter deleting his video and led to the brouhaha that we have now. When he said we're going to deal with them in a language they understand, but here specifically mentioning Northeast and using that same word, maybe to, you know, kind of play on the intelligence of the people to say, oh, I'm actually not against you. If I could use these same words, you know, for these people, I'm using it also Northwest, bearing in mind that he's also from Northwest, using the same words. Again, let's play that again.
Because we don't want to give fair warning to the real criminals. The ones from Northeast, you know, the ones in South, you know, the problem is Northwest. The same people, same culture, killing each other, stealing each other's cattle, burning their villages. As I said, we are going to treat them in the language they will understand. We have given the police and the military power to be ruthless. And you watch it.
So you see what I mean here. What do you think? Do you think he actually made this statement just to, you know, counterbalance, you know, what led to his tweet being deleted? Because that's actually a repeat of that same tweet.
Maazi, some of us are very open and very blunt and very honest when we analyze things. And I will simply tell you that the handlers of the president who did this probably have a motive. They want to, you know, soft pedal. They want to find like a middle ground, a soft landing to the troubles that the language he understands, the uncool language he understands made. So they wanted to move it to say, okay, he said this, but like I said, I'm finding it difficult to make sense out of the whole thing because again, we are discussing a video that was cut and joined and doctored together. So those incoherences are there. So I cannot readily tell you this is what he said or this is what he meant. But the handlers of this, people, whoever had done this, wanted to create that impression.
Okay, so you are still in, you know, obviously, it's, I think it's very visible to the blind that these things were about.
I mean, using force to restore order. But it's understood in another way, especially given what happened last week when you spoke about the Southeast, IPOB, and all that. One, the controversy of Twitter. When is the government going to lift ban on Twitter?
To lift the ban?
No, the suspension of Twitter. Because, I mean, when is Nigerians are expecting when the government will lift the ban? And two, how are we going to resolve the crisis in the Southeast?
Well, Southeast, I was encouraged by what I heard. Nobody told me. Two statements from the South. One by elderly people. No, South. Yes, by elderly people. They said this time around there will be no access to sea. I'm sure you will understand what they mean. Again, the youth made the same statement. That encouraged me. So that IPOB is just like a dot in a circle. If they want to exist, they would have no access to anywhere. And the way they are spread all over the country, having businesses, having property, I think IPOB doesn't know what they are talking about. In any case, we said we'll talk to them in the language they understand. We'll organize the police and the military to pursue them. That's what we can do. And we will do it.
Now, Marcel, two things, I wouldn't say worry me, but two things came out here. One is that the president here is equating IPOB with Ndibo. Two, he is telling the world for the first time that the Niger Delta region have agreed, both the young ones and their elders, not to ever grant access to the sea. And that what it means, and he capped it all with that analogy of them being a dot in a circle. Now, have a mental picture of what a dot is, and you picture it in a circle, meaning it's a clear case of totally being landlocked. And what's your take? Because that's, you know, these two things, the equation of Igbo to IPOB and the revelation, because this is a revelation now, that there is an understanding, and that's made him happy in his own words. That made him happy. That made him be at ease. That made him, you know, really to see, okay, yes, we have something now in common. What's your take?
You are seeing a president that is already planning war strategy. Okay, a president he still has the memory of the 1967 to 1970 war. Okay, he still has the memory of the 1970 to 1970 war, and he's already planning a war strategy of enclose them and crush them. Okay, that is what I see. And then he's already said that he has extracted commitment from the South that there won't be access to the sea. Okay, and Maazi, I see it is a discussion that we're going to have whether we like it or not. It is still this divide and conquer kind of thing, you know. The eastern region was south and southeast combined together, and then immediately after the war, a lot of carvings was done. And if you watch the intention of those carvings, was just to encircle a particular ethnic stock, you know, into a cycle so that it becomes easier to deal with them going forward. So it looks as if it was a strategy that was agreed up front, say keep them in a cycle so that whenever there is uprising again, you can still call them again in that cycle. But what now worries him now is that he still went ahead to mention that the IPOB are spread around the whole place. So he is also thinking that his strategy of encamping them and crush them might not be a very successful strategy because these guys are spread all over the whole place. So his dilemma is that he's beginning to think in his head that he's going to have a kind of a fight where the people he's trying to fight are no longer in a cycle, but they are spread out. And I bet you within the military intelligence, if they are discussing with the president, they're already having out this strategy out. Now, this is a president that is supposed to be looking at a way of de-escalating situations, engaging in talks, and trying to find a way to find a solution within this. He's already preparing for war. I mean, if you read the statement very, very clearly, it's very, very clear. And he even made gestures with his hands. It's a mindset thing. And I'm wondering why the handlers of the copy and paste Nollywood audio and video did not find a way to also mellow this down. They obviously also want to send the message out that, look, whether you like it or not, this is what is going on. So again, an impression is being created. So it is left for the South to want to come up and say, look, we either have an agreement or not. Because again, the president has said there's an agreement in place. The South has to step up and say, look, this agreement was there or not. But I also think that I don't know why anybody will be thinking of a war strategy where nobody is preparing for war. The president is practically telling us that there's a war strategy in place. And the war strategy is a repeat of what you have in the 1966 to 1967, where there is an encirclement and a crushing of over 3 million people. And the world is still quiet about it. So at a point, that discussion will need to be heard. But
yeah, but beyond that, does it not worry you about that comparison? Because when he talks about, you know, that's clearly what is coming out from him. He is equating Igbo, Ndi Igbo, with IPOB. Isn't that worrying? Because that is a wrong narrative.
But Maazi, that is exactly, I mean, when you see military go to Owerri, for instance, and shoot aimlessly on innocent civilians without doing a tactical pin on the people that are the troublemakers, it simply tells you that you have been marked, whether you are part of them or not. You are one. So it's a very unfortunate situation, and I just pray that we maintain peace until this man goes. You know. Because he I mean, if you follow the whole trend of the interview, you could see where his minds are and where he's coherent, you know. And you know, they said out of the abundance of a man's heart, you know, the mouth speak it. So you could see where his thinkings, you know, he still has that image of the 1967 war in his head, and he's ready to activate a repeat of it. Like I tell you, the only thing that I think that is giving him problem is the fact that these guys are now scattered all over the whole place, and he's probably talking with his people on how to ensure that doesn't, because again, if an insurrection starts and then you have guerrilla warfare that is spread all over the whole place, it might be difficult for the military to even hold, you know. So they are looking forward to having a war within a confined place where they can bombard and end, but they're also preparing for a kind of a fight that will be spread across the country. So it is really bad that the president will be preparing for this kind of a thing when everybody is talking about de-escalating and returning peace to the country. That is what
I think one of the things one might have to do is that these new angle that he brought to this conversation needs to be probably explored. One, the agreement to allow or make Ndibo to be because again he uses IPOB in pushing the narrative, but I use Ndibo for to be specific here. And I think it's something that should concern everyone, and it's something that should be, looked into. So let's quickly move on to the next segment of his question.
Twitter. That I will give to myself. What?
Well, still on the Southeast, Mr. President, how do you plan to include more people from the Southeast, and indeed the South in general, to include more people in the Southeast and indeed the South in general in your government, especially in security services and MDAs?
You look at, say, NNPC, look at the military. People who have been there for 18 years, or people who have been there, say, for 10 years, they trained in Zaria or in Abekuta. They come through the ranks, and because they served under all the circumstances, the crisis and everything, and they gradually rise to that status. And you think you just pick somebody just to balance up? These positions have to be earned. Those positions have to be earned. There are people who have been there for 10, 15 years. And you just because somebody will say, well, there's nobody. If you don't join, you are not forced to join. But when you join, you go through the rigmarole. You go through the problem throughout, and you learn by the system.
Yeah, but Your Excellency, in the case of the Chief of Army Staff, there are almost 30 generals who have to be retired now or whatever because of demand, because of the rank of the current Chief of Staff.
Do you know why he was serving before he becomes the Chief of Army Staff? You can't get to pick just somebody just because he is wearing seniority and make him. You put somebody who has been in the mill, who has suffered with the soldiers, they know him, he fought with them, and so on. To tell you the truth, on individual basis, all these chaps, they know me. Because I want to do, but I don't know them. I have forgotten them. Some of them, I don't know them.
Here, Marcel, the president started by saying that these were people who were trained, people who went to military school. Does it appear that others from other regions do not do well in military school? Then he went to the point of saying, when the reporter there asked him, I think Adeni asked him about the 30 generals, because initially when I heard about the 30 generals that were retired, I thought it was one of those fake news flying around the internet. But by the virtue of the fact that the president confirmed it this morning, that actually 30 generals were retired, and he's now giving them reason that the only reason why he picked this one is that not because of seniority, but because he has been in Operation Lafia Dole. Now, the question thereof should be, in becoming the chief of army staff, is it no longer, or your rank, does it no longer play any role, or just because you've been lucky to have served in that front? Or does the chief of army staff mean you must have served in the Northeast? So if you have led Operation Crocodile Smile, which is another operation of that nature in the South, that disqualifies you, that it must be in the theater as defined by the president. What's your take?
Maazi, you see, the Buhari is if you watch what he said from the beginning, he said you have to be in the system and grow in the system. Okay,
but these people are in the system and
exactly. So you see someone that is just you see someone that is just running around, trying to hide and then try to justify all this. You said, okay, grow in the system. Okay, there are people that are grown in the system. Oh, they are not qualified. So at the end of the day, he knows what he wants to do. He has made his appointment. He's been, he has had the people he wants to do. So he just trying to, and then I don't know whether they assume we are dumb or maybe we are daft. Look, hear him. Maazi, at the beginning, I told you that when I listened to the interview, I was trying to compare him to, is there any other president in the world that could be this worst or that could be this bad? I couldn't picture my hands. Even Mugabe, that we said was so old, wasn't this bad? A president is telling you, okay, this is the rule. And then just when you have people obey that, oh no, you have to be like this. And then if you have to, so what are you to believe? See, like I said, it was a mistake. Whoever the people that sold this man to us should be blamed for all the things that Nigerians are getting and all the blood that has been wasted. Those people that sold this man to us, because I'm sure they know him more. People that were there in 1984, in 1985, and saw him all through, and then came to 2015 to sell us, some that, and then again maybe the gullible people that also bought into it. But we are here. So I would simply say, see, let us just pray that Nigerians survive it. There's some mistakes you make in your lifetime that those mistakes you never get out of it. I pray this doesn't become it for Nigeria, because a huge and great mistake has been made. Someone that is trying to knock people's head left and right, knock south with north, knock north with east. Tell me, what is called a secessionist? What would you call someone that is secessionist? Is someone that sees a section of his people as being the only people that can do it. He wants to treat his people as being the best. So I look at the president, his words, his languages, and all the things he do. It's so obvious, and then that is what is causing all the agitations. And then the question is that, should we all drop our head and our throat be cut off? Here is armed bandits or armed Fulani herdsmen or whatever coming from the Sahel, from Mauritania, coming to take over your farm. Here you are, your security agencies cannot defend you. A lot of you have been killed. So what are you going to do? We should all keep our hands together. The president that have sworn, that took the constitution and swore on the constitution that is going to protect and life and property, is not doing it. And then when you people set up a team to want to defend yourself, the same president is using the military that is supposed to use to fight against people that are, going against the territorial integrity of Nigeria. He's using to fight your internal people that are trying to stay alive and defend yourself. We are in for a serious mess, and I just pray that we survive this. I just pray that we survive it. Okay.
Honestly, yeah. No, it's fine.
It is. I pray for Nigeria within this period that he has. I just pray that God will intervene in the affairs of this country, and that we will maintain peace until this man leaves, so that we can see how we can get our country together and see how many years it's going to take us to recover from the damage this man has done to the country. But it's clear we have to pray.
my only, like I said, my concern here is because, you know, one here, objectivity should be the watchword. We're trying to be objective in the sense that you're looking at saying that it is people who have put in the time. He used the word 10 years. He used the word of the 15 years who have served. Now, and these people who have served diligently at the point of getting rewarded for their meritorious service, you now say, oh, they haven't gone to the theater of a segment, because the way it is now, Nigeria, every part of Nigeria is a theater of war, right? So the Northwest is, he just said it at the beginning, the Northwest is a theater of war. The Southeast now is another one where you can see sometimes bombing, or you see the military on the road. South is not a safe haven. Is it the Southwest where you have the invasion? We saw what happened in Iganga, you know. So everywhere. So if you had a military man who had served somewhere, and again, there is another thing now before I even forgot. Remember, we read before that it was 25 soldiers that were generals, they were retired. Now, in this interview, is it Abati or Shegun asked and mentioned 30. I would have expected, if, you know, because one of the things you take away from someone in authority who has the figure is to help you keep your statistics straight. So now we don't, okay, by virtue of not talking about that 30, we don't know if that 30 stands, because if that 30 doesn't stand, I would have expected a correction. But because he's a president, if I go on Twitter tomorrow, or if I don't want to say Twitter before they arrest me, because I'm not supposed to be tweeting. So,
but yeah, we are not in Nigeria, so.
So if I go on Twitter and tweet tomorrow that 30 service chiefs were, retired, I could defend that because I now have a reference point. And that reference point is that interview, because the president didn't deny it. It was said in his presence. Therefore, if he doesn't deny it, for me, because he's an authority, it becomes a reference point and a point of confirmation. But again, at this point, I think it actually validates and explains the reason why he had to go outside the custom services to bring in someone, a retired colonel, to come and head the customs. When you begin to put one-on-one, this interview is actually, like Dan said before he left, he actually explains his thinking. Honestly, I wish that he could do more of such interviews, that he can begin to see more his thinking pattern, and maybe helps people to understand him the more. So let's continue here.
Okay. So operational experience was the factor.
It is, because the soldiers, to be effectively led, must be somebody they know they are alone to him. He exposed himself to him.
I believe the security services. I believe one of the things we're talking about is signaling and of belonging. Beyond security, Southeast, they want to be secretary to government. They want to be other things. Like you said, you've chosen 2 or 3 of them, like Okadibo as VP. So you've said you don't have anything against them. So why don't you, as father of all, bring them more together?
You see here, if you listen to what Nduka here said, Nduka said, as you said that you selected Okadibo, but we didn't hear and we didn't see that part that he talked about when he selected Okadibo. You see that? That part was cut off. That part that he talked about, when he selected Okadibo. I'm just trying to point that out because Nduka alluded to that.
Make them feel belonging. Make them feel like your children.
You better get a list of our civil servants. If you think there are no people from the Southeast. There are people from the Southeast. But they know they have to go through the mill.
Well, Mr. President, I was going to ask about the challenges you referred to earlier about fighting corruption and how difficult it is under a democratic system.
Yeah.
But there's this perception, general perception that, well, the best way to escape prosecution is to just join the ruling party.
Because one or two governors that joined APC, you think that was why they joined?
Well, it's a matter of perception.
What this administration can do is to make sure that APC lasts beyond this administration. And we started registration from polling unit to ward, to local government, to the state, so that APC will know how many of them there are in state by state, in even local government by local government, so that by the time this administration goes, they will be firmly on the ground and they can continue. And that is the best thing politically for the country and for the party.
So it's not as if, but to add to what we people believe that once you join APC, the broom, that your broom is just a free corruption under the carpet.
No, you are very, very unfair to us.
So now, to power.
You know, I think that's a very funny one here. They threw back at him the comment made by the former APC party chairman, Adams Oshomole, that when you join the APC, your sins are forgiven. Obviously, in his view, that they need to build APC to be a more reliable party. So do you believe in what he said?
Maazi, when somebody has lied to you the first time and lied to you the second time and lied to you the third time, so you still want to believe any other thing that comes out of his mouth, right? Yeah?
Well,
see, Nigerians do not understand. Maybe somehow we have tried to hold up, try to stop the whole thing from collapsing up to like for the past 5 years of his administration. But I'm having a feeling that this man knows he has 2 years, and he's yet out to cost him the most damage. So the Nigerians have to find a way to hold on and manage this status quo. A lot of life will still be lost because the Fulani herdsmen has not stopped, the bandits has not stopped, the Boko Haram has not stopped, and then the military activities in the southeast is still ongoing. Some zones might feel that, okay, just like he has alluded, maybe has extracted some commitment from the south, so you are not seeing a lot of, but I also know that Rivers is also experiencing a lot of heat, and Akwa Ibom also is experiencing a lot of heat, so there is like, this thing is just going all over the whole place. But one thing I just tell people is that the Buhari IC, speaks from two sides of his mouth. And then he's not someone, I mean, to me personally, I'm not going to take any of his word. Rather, I will keep my eyes on his actions, because they will tell you that action speaks louder than words. He would say something, but there are times he actually says it the way it is, but there are times he also moves around, and so you have to keep your eyes on what he's actually doing. And what he's doing is, in his tenure, there is a lot of uprising and insecurity of external people trooping into Nigeria and trying to take over a lot of places within Nigeria. Those are the facts that we're seeing. During the JAJ time, it was only Boko Haram that we're dealing with. I know there was bombings here and there, but Boko Haram takes responsibility. But this time around, I mean, we hear bandits, we hear unknown gunmen, you hear Fulani herdsmen, no responsibility, nothing. But the carnage still goes on. I pray for the country sincerely, and I just hope that this nightmare ends as soon as possible, and let's have our lives back.
Okay, thank you very much. So we quickly
rotation.
Yes.
There's an agreement in APC to move power from north and south. But what parts of the south, or where do you think the president should come from to keep your legacy going?
Should we allow the party to decide? I have just told you that we started from bottom up. And I gave the acting chairman, to the end of this month, June, he asked for an expansion. For them, the committee, we developed terms of reference, we put a committee and they are going to give me this report by the end of the month on the convention we are going to conduct and then arrange the general elections, up to 2003, all the elections. And we will start this from bottom upward so that members of the party will feel they are involved in decision making. Nobody is just sitting here in Lagos and asking them what to do. This is what we are arranging.
So there's no succession plan?
No, succession plan, it depends on the party. We are going to leave that to the party. The party will sit and make its decision by the constituencies, they won and so on. So those who want to be president, they better join APC.
Now, Marcel, how do you take his answer here? He said that his succession plan should be left for the party. But if you recall, when he came back from London in 2017, people were asking him regarding restructuring that the party promised that was in the party manifesto. He said that, well, that was the party, that he, Muhammadu Buhari, didn't. So somehow, isn't that contradicting that he's now obviously something, when this was to be a decision, he took that decision not to talk about restructuring and pushed it back to the party. But here, it's a time to take decision, talking about having a succession plan. Somehow, again, he wiggles it back to the party once more.
Maazi, again, I'm just like repeating myself in this program. He doesn't take responsibilities, and one thing I see that's very, very good about most politicians is they don't want to be seen as they are the one that did it, so they could go through other means to get their things done and still maintain the feeling of, look, it's not me, it is the people that made the decision. But again, taking from his words, spoken and unspoken words, he said one person will not be in Southwest and decide what happened in Southwest. So he's basically trying to tell you that whatever is the power in Southwest, we will not be allowed to do whatever he wants to do. So if you ask me if I'm to...
So basically, what you're saying is that he's making it a public now that he was going...
No, I mean, those are his words. He said one man cannot be from Southwest and decide. No. So there has something will have to happen.
He has given a warning shot that somebody
it was a clear
in Southwest should be aware.
It was a clear warning shot. So Maazi, let us put the whole thing that we have heard, both spoken and unspoken. If the presidency is going to come to the South, the Southwest might not, from the feeling I am getting, the Southwest might not be supported. So it is it will most likely be within the Southeast and the South-South. Now, if you put the Southeast and the South-South, there is a deal already in place that is, okay, South-South has agreed to do something. So the question, that's why I told you that we need to dig a little bit to know on what basis was that agreement reached and what was extracted. So if you add things, you could begin to extrapolate and see what will probably happen in the policy between the next 2 years and the presidential elections. And then watch. Remember we had this discussion. So at that time, please, I know you will be kind enough to probably remind people this. So judging from what is happening, there might not be a power block from the Southwest. The Southeast is already in turmoil, so the Southwest might not even be a contender from the body language, and all that. So the South must have struck a deal that says, look, maybe this is going to come back to us, or if it's coming back to South, let us all contest, but support will be given to this. Well, I remember that there was a time, maybe a few months back, where there is a rumor that the former president, might also be presented. So again, things are beginning to play out. But again, let us keep our fingers crossed. Time will reveal things.
Well, without necessarily going into who might be the person that they might pick, but you're right. from this video now, you can see that there is an agreement, which I can put this way: block them off. We will pay you back with precedence.
A return for something, yeah.
Exactly.
And then remember recently there is something that was going on social media about also, you see, when I tell people that the social media is a lead, if you pay attention to the social media very, very well and look at trend analysis, is a lead to whatever is coming. Remember that just a few weeks back there was this WhatsApp going around about I don't know what's the name, this guy in South that betrayed his people, and then Sarawiwa that betrayed his people, and then he was given a position, and then he tried to ask for the oil, and then at the end of the day, all this Abacha thing, and then he was executed. So that WhatsApp message was going around like a warning to a particular people that, look, do not betray your people for something that at the end of the day you'll be dealt with. And now the president is coming to tell us that some kind of, he was happy with the kind of things that are extracted from the South. So the political leadership in the South needs to tell us. The president has basically put them on the spot. So
I think it's one area that in the next coming weeks, and listeners and viewers, you'd join us in the next coming weeks and days. We will want to explore this angle, because for me, it's a very interesting lead that the president has just leaked out here. And when you, as you rightly said, when you just oppose it with other things happening, other actions, I'm actually, by the things the president said today, the timing of the interview.
The 2 zones, just note the 2 zones he mentioned
Not only that, but in this interview, he has somehow struck the APC leadership in the Southwest. And this interview and what he said is coming along the time that he has gone to the Southwest with a minister that he's well pleased. People, I'm not going to say the rest, but use your tongue to count your teeth. I'm getting to something. Something is becoming very, very clear now as what the game plan could be. We don't know. And again, it clarifies why suddenly in the last 2 weeks, all the hear, why would Igbos be talking about Igbo presidency while there is conflict in the Southeast? And you ask yourself, was there peace in Northwest when Buhari was elected?
Boko Haram was at the peak, yes.
Exactly. Was there peace when Umaru Musa Yar'Adua was elected? How all of a sudden you're talking of power shift and you're making the people look like, okay, because something, these are conflicts. What we should be talking about is how do you resolve it? Are they genuine concerns? If they are genuine concerns, can you address these concerns? So rather than, and remember what we had talked on a call yesterday in terms of those interventions, I can tell you that those interventions could be dead on arrival by the languages used in this interview.
Yes,
that's exactly what I'm thinking. Anyway,
exactly. So there has to be. Remember, there has to be a sincerity of purpose when you want to solve a problem. And I
didn't see that olive branch being extended here.
Exactly. Rather, it was somebody that put the vault face and say, "Look, damn the consequence. I'm gonna do this if you do this." So let us pray for the best. I pray that God should keep us alive and keep the president alive.
Definitely, we will
give him good health, and then also touch him and change his heart to know that all Nigerians are Nigerians. No Nigerian is better than the other. We're all one, and let us build peace. I've always wanted a peaceful country that will grow and flourish.
Anyway, again, I think honestly, it's the more. That's why sometimes I like this content analysis, because when you're engaging in such, then you're unpicking some of these things gradually. It's like a puzzle. Once you do it, you begin to fit in the puzzles where they belong.
Economy and the limited economic growth that we've seen recently. And I'll start with foreign direct investment. Even though your administration has given the right signal with regards to ease of doing business, Nigeria has barely improved. And we're losing foreign direct investment to our neighbors, such as Ghana, What can you do to make Nigeria a more competitive and more attractive destination for foreign direct investment?
Well, this question was answered when there was this answers. You remember the young people who wanted to march here and remove me when they were checked that answers. And my answer to that, I got the members of the Executive Council. As you could recall, by the Constitution, there must be a member of Executive Council from each state. That is the Constitution. Every state must be represented. So I got them on a Wednesday. I did like this. I said they should go, each one should go to his state, speak to the governor, speak to the traditional leaders, speak to the business people, and speak to the youth, especially, and tell them that the federal government, no more vacancy, is full. Go to any state governor and ask him now to give you a contract or to give you a job. He will tell you there is no vacancy. The same thing with local government. So you may have a good degree, but you may die without having a job. Why? Because nobody is going to invest in an insecure environment. So I told them, I said they should tell the youth that if they want jobs, they will behave themselves, make sure Nigeria is secure so that people can come and invest. Nigeria is resourceful, people know it. We are a rich country. God has endowed us. But nobody can bring, look at the today, like 200 buses bought by the former governor of Lagos. Some of these boys went and banned the vehicle.
Now, Marcel here, there are two things that really came out here. One, it means actually that the president actually believes that the youth of NSAS came out to overthrow him. That actually he believed that they came out to overthrow him. Secondly, he is again blaming the youth for unemployment, saying if they want job, they should secure Nigeria. Yet this is the same person who contested the presidency to secure Nigeria. Now he's moving the security of Nigeria to the youth, secure Nigeria so you can get job. Who does that?
See, see, speaks with, in fact, when you say people speak with two sides of their mouth, you know what it means. But Buhari seems to be speaking with maybe three sides of his mouth. You meet him here, he goes there. You meet him here, he goes there. He's not he's not very straightforward. He's not he's not, as in when you ask for that sincerity of purpose, is missing, and that's why I say it is only youth that can probably retrieve their country back, because again, these politicians will plan, but once the youth did not present themselves as a tool to be used, they will fail. So if today the youth of this country rise up and say, look, we don't even want all these people again, we don't no matter the amount they offer you, because again, what happens is that during the election, they will just also bring that money and then share money. Everybody will go out. When they give you money, make up your mind either to take the money and not vote for them, or don't take the money and vote your mind. Because if this country has to grow and progress, the likes of Buhari and all these people has to be moved aside. Because see, these people have lived their lives. Buhari is, I don't know how old he is. He has lived his life. So even if he dies now, he should be seen as someone that is fulfilled. He has lived long enough. The problem is the people that are 20 years old, 25 years old, that police are shooting, that have not even, that are being killed anyhow. So the youth has to go. And when I say the youth, it has to be the youth across the whole country. Let no, because see, Maazi, some people think that when the president comes from their side, that is a blessing. I tell them no, because look at the place that the president had come from. What impact has happened on the youth? Even the Katsina state is suffering more than any other state. I saw a video one time where Katsina people are practically, cursing the president, that he's a cost, that they don't even want the president. So the youth should think, do they want a president that will come from that place, or do they want a president that will progress this country? Because let me tell you the truth there, Nigeria is a place where even people in diaspora are urging to come back to. People in diaspora, in their minds, in their very, very minds, they have been treated as second-class citizens, or maybe not really, but there's nothing like home. So people are looking forward to coming home. So the youth has to come out and make a decision. You see, 2023 is a year of decision for Nigeria. If we miss it and return this set of people back to the country, believe you me, our generation will suffer all through.
But from the look of things, it appears that even in 2023 is not going to be any different, because you can look at all the speculations, all the political, because when you look at it now, from the answers given so far, you can see where things are about to land, or even those that he's talking about, because I think that's one of the reasons why the APC doesn't even go into convention. But again, he has reaffirmed here that he's giving them up to end of the month to make, which by the time you see who the next party chairman would be, or the party chairman will be, you will know the direction of what you're going to be expecting in 2023. But it is indeed sad anyway. But again,
Maazi, if you understand what countries are doing for their young outside this country, outside Nigeria, the youth of Nigeria will understand that these people are basically wasting them. You came to Earth. Let's take we're all in the same Earth. So somebody born in the UK or somebody born in US will also say he came to Earth, and then you're born in Nigeria and faced all also you came to Earth. We are on the same Earth, but some people Earth looks like heaven, and some people Earth looks like hell. So it is the political leadership and the youths. Again, I keep saying the youths, because look at what is happening. Even the so-called people that ran around 2015 shouting "Say Baba" and beggars, everybody is suffering. Everybody. Is it not when you eat enough that you want to give the beggar to eat? So people have to make up. And let me tell you, Nigeria can be salvaged. I tell it just takes a leader that understands stakeholder management and engagement, not the one that has bitterness of something. He has a bitterness from the Civil War, and he's in his mind he's reenacting a strategy of 1967. Maybe he thinks 1967 that 2021 is 1967. We need to really get these people out of the way. We need to get the youth to find a way. 2023, just find a way to just move them out. The youth can make up their mind to vote a youth president, somebody that is 40 or less than 50. Let's even try him. We have tried all these people, this recycled.
Yeah, but again, you're right. But again, the youth can do this, the youth can do the other one. In the last election, you had people like Kingsley Moghalu, you had Sowore, yet the youth hate themselves so much that they couldn't even vote themselves. So at the end of the day, there is limit to blaming the older ones. But anyway, that's by the way. So let's quickly round up by getting to the next segment of this.
The governor made an album, came and I took the album and put it aside. I said, go and tell them to work. Who will go and invest his money in an unstable environment? Nobody will. It's just common sense. So you behave yourself, you make Nigeria secure, and people will invest.
So coming back to competition, looking at the issue of, as we are petroleum minister, Mr. President, the issue of spending money for subsidies, which is taking monies that should have been invested in infrastructure, which we also come to. How do we deal with the subsidy question of petroleum and power?
It's a very difficult question, and I suspect you know it. Nigerians facilitate their oil, so it can't be too expensive. Nigerian petroleum is...
Did you understand what he said? He said Nigeria is producing or Nigeria is subsidizing their oil?
I didn't get that. I was also trying to hear him.
Let's listen to that again.
Okay.
Issue of spending money for subsidies, which is taking monies that should have been invested in infrastructure, which we also come to. How do we deal with the subsidy question of petroleum and power?
It's a very difficult question, and I suspect you know it. Nigerian filters their oil, so it.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said Nigeria is eating his oil. If I get him clearly.
Eating or subsidizing their oil.
He said, okay, you can step it back a little bit. He said he's eating. Nigeria is eating his oil. Let us go back a little bit. Maybe let's give it a last chance.
Who will go and invest his money in an unstable environment? Nobody will. It's just common sense.
I don't know.
There's no vacancy. The same thing with local government. So you may have a good degree, but you may die without having a job. Why? Because Nigeria is resourceful. People know it. We are a rich country. God has endowed us. But nobody can bring, look at the like 200 buses bought by the former governor of Lagos. Some of these boys went and banned the vehicle.
And one other thing here is actually what the government is still, sorry, before we continue, what the government is also, or what is not acknowledging is that the protest was peaceful until the government brought bandits, both in Lagos and in Abuja, to come and disrupt the protest before violence ensued.
The governor made an album, came and I took the album and put it aside. I said, go and tell them to walk. Who will go and invest his money in an unstable environment? Nobody will. It's just common sense. So you behave yourself, you make Nigeria secure, and people will invest.
So coming back to competition, looking at the issue of, yes, we are petroleum minister, Mr.
I think this is going to be the last shot we're going to give it. So I employ everyone watching us here, help us listen, increase your device. We need to catch up what he said here. And if you did catch it, please can you use the comment section to tell us what you think the president said here, because that is going to be very critical.
President, the issue of spending money for subsidies, which is taking monies that should have been invested in infrastructure, which we also come to. How do we deal with the subsidy question of petroleum and power?
So here we come, people. That is the answer we are waiting for.
It's a very difficult question, and I suspect you know it. Nigerian filters their oil, so it can't be too.
So what did you hear?
I think he said Nigeria is subsidizing their oil.
Exactly. So that's what I think.
Oil. Yeah.
You know, again, let me quickly try again.
And power.
It's a very difficult question, and I suspect you know it. Nigerian filters their oil, so it can't be too expensive.
Yeah, I think he said subsidizing.
Nigerian petroleum is being sold from here up to Ghana. At the pump station, Nigeria, people will take it, will close the borders, they put jerry cans, they ride the machine through the bush. And if you try and give it the cost and insist that it has to be economic base, Nigeria will say this is their oil, and they will riot and push you out of wherever you are, even if it is presidential villa. They will push you out.
Now, what the president is saying here, the question was, why are we still paying
subsidy?
But I don't think he has actually done justice to that. But again, what he says now contradicts the video that was trending when he was contesting for the presidency, where he said, who is subsidizing who?
That anybody that says subsidizing anything is a fraud.
Let him come and tell me who is subsidizing who. So that is a direct contradiction to what obviously he said at that point now, because he's trying to justify, in my understanding what he said, I might be wrong, but what I understood he said is, if you try to remove subsidy, that the people will come and they will even remove you from the office. Isn't that? Now he talks about how we take our oil and we go sell it in Ghana. But who cares? If we produce our oil, who cares whether Ghana, Niger, or whatever is coming to buy it? So
who is supposed to protect the borders and ensure smuggling doesn't happen? Is it me and you?
Even if, I mean, even if in Europe, you can see people drive from depending on how much, people who live at the fringes of the border in Europe can drive from the Netherlands into Germany, or from the Netherlands into Belgium to go buy petrol, if it depending on, you know, on the cost. So it's not I don't think it's something that, you know, again, to me, he doesn't
if you know the business of oil in Nigeria, where you take oil, you go out, refine it, and bring it back, and then you cannot even modular refineries cannot work and all that. No, we just add. But again, it's not a pattern to go. The only thing I want to tell Nigerians is that the day of the presidential election is the day they have to make up their mind and decide to. Let me tell you the day. Let me tell you the truth, Maazi. This is my thumb. I can decide that this thing cannot repeat. I vote and I damn the consequence. Let me tell you, once you vote them out, they're out. Nothing they can do. Nothing. The new person comes in. So they need to understand that power they have. That once they vote him, once there's a massive, I know they rig elections, but they also rig elections in places where they have some support. Okay, you can support them and make noise, make them feel important. But on that day, go and vote them out. Once that election is announced, the person ceases to be. He goes. He can't change it, and they go away with their troubles. But if out of fear that, okay, you collected money, the person that collected money from will say I didn't vote, and I mean, we have to damn these things at the point and save this country. We have to make up our mind, damn these things, and otherwise, maybe one day there won't be anybody left for them to rule.
Now, I reading the comments, some people are saying that what the president said, that Nigerians are stealing their oil. Could that be another dimension to that? Nigerians are stealing their oil because
no, I heard, you know, he has this intonation. I hear subsidizing their oil. If it is stealing, you're going to hear the T, you know, because that is going to be a hard one. But I hear somebody subsidizing their oil, and which looks like more or less like I mean, look at us now trying to even make sense of what a president is saying. I mean.
We are guessing, but let's not be misquoted. We are just trying to be fair.
Yeah, we are just trying to understand.
They say this is their oil. So what we want is to try to get the cooperation of customs,
Lord Michael,
immigration,
thank you very much for
and this border guards, so that it cannot be taken in substantial amount. Customs are doing quite well because we are confiscating tankers, selling the petrol and selling the tankers, and the people whom we are dispossessing of this, they don't complain. They don't talk to anybody, they don't say it. That the government has taken away their tankers and sold their petrol and so on. We are doing it.
Mr. President, let's talk about debt service to revenue ratio. Under your watch, it has risen from about 40% to 90%, thereabouts. And there are many who are complaining that, well, because of this heavy debt burden, it's becoming very difficult to fund.
But again, Marcel, do you think he did justice to the question asked before Ruben Abati comes in? Hello, Marcel, you are muted.
I said that even here, I'm straining my ears to really try to make sense of the words coming out of him. So maybe people in the studio would get more cases, but I didn't get him, and I don't think he answered the question. Just like the way he's been speaking from here to here from time to time. And then Maazi, I keep telling you that I do not blame Buhari for what he's doing, but it is the mechanism that sold him and the the people that bought him. So let's just pray that 2023 comes and go, and let's see how much of our life we can get back. But okay. If we repeat the same mistake in 2023, remember that whoever wins will want to do 8 years. So if you repeat the same mistake in 2023, you are looking at 2031.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Lord Michael, thank you for the super chat, and you are the first person to do a super chat, a super sticker, basically on this YouTube platform. And we will be sharing shortly the Telegram link to join Njenje Media TV on the Telegram. You can as well click on that link and join Njenje Media on Telegram. So while we are about to round up now, we will take the second to the last segment of that interview. So second to the last segment of that interview, please. So we are going to do that now.
Infrastructure. What measures is your government putting in place to diversify the economy and to further increase revenue?
Well, we start talking about the infrastructure. I would like you to check how much we were earning from 1999 to 2014. Our production. If you check, you will find out the average production was 2.1 million barrels a day. At the average cost of $100 American per barrel. So 1999 to 2014, we were earning 2.1 million times 100 each day. Look at the state of the infrastructure. Look at our roads. Look at the rail. Look at power. And tell me which country developed without infrastructure. And did you ask those regimes, or that regime, whichever it is, what they have done with the money? No roads, no rail, no power. I sit here and see the amount of casualties we are getting between Lagos and Ibadan alone on daily basis. Tomorrow I'm going to commission the rail, the roads, and ask people.
So you see, this segment is where I think Dan alluded to it, where it confirmed that actually that interview, as was advertised, was not live, that it was recorded previously.
Who are living in Lagos now going to Ibadan or coming up country, how easy they have found it. This is what we have been doing. But what have they done with all the money they are getting? Look at power. There had been a lot of waste. There had been a lot of waste.
Yeah, Your Excellency, I was commending you on the infrastructure. Your government has done quite a bit on infrastructure, but there is also something about infrastructure that is surprising to many Nigerians. You are carrying a lot of this infrastructure to Niger Republic. Road, rail, people are wondering, what is the attraction of Niger Republic? Why is there obsession by the Buhari administration?
Okay, before they get into Niger, because I think this is another classic. This segment is another classic. Is there anything you have to say on the question on infrastructure? Because I think, again, hate Mr. President or like Mr. President on infrastructure, he has visibly done more than those before him. Do you agree?
You know, I will ask you which infrastructure, because again, I left
rail infrastructure, the one here.
Those projects. Again, Maazi.
You see that I know you said those projects are started by Goodluck
I need to give you. I will give him credit where need be, but I need you to understand what was happening. Okonjo-Iweala during the JJ time negotiated an oil swap deal with the Chinese for infrastructure. Okay. And that was where you are seeing a lot of these projects in terms of the airport, the rails, and all those things were beginning to materialize. So I can give it to him that they continued that deal. They continued that deal, and that infrastructure continue. But remember when I came to have a 7th region, which is the Niger region. So Nigeria is made up of 7 regions, not 6. So, and I told you that sit down and make a computational analysis of our budget for the period Buhari was in office, the project he has done. Because again, a project can cost 2 billion, and another project will cost just 500 million. And then when I give you a project of 2 billion, I give you a project of 500 million. I was okay, I've given you guys 2 projects, but they're 2 different things entirely. But where you will know the amount spent is when you sit down, bring all the total budget together and put it, and that's why I like what Budge IT usually do. You put it across the zones and see how much was spent across zones. Then that's when you will understand what it is. And in terms of infrastructure, that would also bring clarity. At this stage, we are not infrastructure in Nigeria. It's something we are supposed to have gone beyond.
Sure.
But here we are.
Let's quickly get to the point, which I think this is something that has caused controversy for a very long time, which is the rate of infrastructure that goes to Niger Republic. Let's have a listen.
Towards Niger Republic.
How many neighbors do you have? Both on individual and the national rule. You have to cultivate your neighbor. If you don't, you are in trouble. If you could recall, when I came, I went to Chad, I went to Niger, I went to the Cameroon. Look at what happened with us Boko Haram. If we are not in the good relationship with Niger and Chad and Cameroon, Boko Haram would have done worse things to us than this. And you say I'm carrying to Niger. I told you the border between us and Niger is 1,500 kilometers. And in Niger, you see, I spoke to one Frenchman, and I have to tell you this. He spoke nonsense. I say, you people, in 1885, you sat down with ruler and pencil and draw lines. I say, I have first cousins in Niger. There are Kanuris, there are Hausas, there are Fulanis in Niger Republic. Just as there are Yorubas in Benin Republic and so on. You can't absolutely cut them off. But the rail, look at the plan, if you read the plan, how we are rehabilitating the rail. Niger, they have discovered oil too, as you know. And we don't want to allow them to go through Benin Republic. We want them to come through Nigeria. We hope they will decide when we take the rail up to Marathi that they will send all their exports and so on through Nigeria rather than through Benin. Because with the railways and the roads working, both from Maiduguri to Port Harcourt, from Kano to Lagos and so on, people will be very busy. And I believe if you make the infrastructure work, roads, rail, I assure you that Nigerians will keep themselves very busy and they will leave you alone. But when the roads are not more trouble, the rail is virtually crippled. People have so much time to harass you.
Mr. President, now that you've overcome your health challenges, what is the looking great?
Now, before we get to his health challenges, he gets to the point here that he was asked about what is this quote-unquote obsession with Niger Republic. And he went on with Chad and Cameroon. Basically, these are two different issues. Chad, Cameroon, Niger, comparing them, those are military strategy for insurgents. Whereas the issue with Niger, Maradi, is clearly a case of economic empowerment. And he also here made a clear case that, which sometimes I think maybe, as Dan said, maybe in his frankness, maybe, I don't know, because he could have been more diplomatic, but he was so blunt in saying it that, you can have cousins, you have Kenuris, you have Hausas. Therefore, that means if an Igbo man becomes a president, for instance, we should be constructing rail or road to Gabon. Is that, that's probably a Yoruba man becomes a president now. There must be a road and rail network connecting the Togolese or Benin Republic. I mean, so what's your take?
Maazi, one of the reasons why countries are poor is also what is called misapplication of resources. Okay, so somebody will sit down, you have money, they're what they call economic infrastructure and social infrastructure. So economic infrastructure are the infrastructure you put in place for economic gains, and those infrastructures will end up recouping their money, recouping the money you've invested in them. Social infrastructure are infrastructures that you look at it that your people, you need it for social welfare. Okay, so if you put this, so most countries will want to place money, apply money on economic infrastructure, so that when they recoup the money, a part of it can go into social infrastructure, because it just makes common sense. You have a business that can recover your money fast for you, and they have the one that are for free. So if I would ask you, common sense, between the northern border and the southern border, the border we have with Benin, look at all the way from Maitu, Badagry to Benin. Okay, you see that route. They have been trying to construct that route for the past 20 years. That route started when Tinubu was in power. They want to make it 10 lanes and do rain. They've imagine when Tinubu left power. So for the past 20 years or so many years, they've been trying to work on it. And then Buhari came in, and in less than 5 years or 6 years, he is constructing third road and train to Njenje. So if you are the president, and we're looking in terms of doing a proper application of scarce resources, which routes do you think will be more economical in terms of bringing you fast return on investment? If there's a fast train between Abuja and Lagos, do you think that will not even recover his money from the first? Imagine the kind of traffic that moves between, how many flights leaves from Abuja to Lagos every day, or how many flights leave from Abuja to other part of the country. So when you are making your analysis in terms of applying resources, you need to put this into place. But these people just wake up out of their own personal interest. He feels that maybe Katsina is country home is closer to Nigeria. It doesn't make sense. As the bottom line, it doesn't make sense. This is a pure misapplication of resources, a waste of resources. Let's see what will come out of it.
I've made similar argument, and one of the consultants actually told me that the rail to Niger was actually not conceived or not started by him. Just that obviously he's trying to complete it again. This is a consultant that are looking for that concession that actually is a railway consultant. They've been on that. I think I've interviewed him about twice.
Maazi, I don't believe those people. I was in your session when that guy came to talk. Most of them are just political contractors. So they would come.
No. When you have, because obviously I piggyback on it. When you have documents predating when Buhari came in, because the thing is,
did you see the document? Did you see the document?
Of course.
Did he show you the document?
Yes, I have a copy of it.
And the document says that the contract was awarded.
No, not the contract. That you're talking about the conceptualization of that route. The part already done, but that's what is being done. What is being argued here is about freight actually, not passengers.
Maazi,
but hold on. It's freight, not passenger, and the whole point is that they don't. But again, when you look at it, which he alluded here, so that they don't go through Benin. I'm like, Benin is too small for us to even compete with.
Benin is coming into Nigeria. Short the border of Nigeria to Benin. Benin would lose strongly. So see, this will just come up with lazy excuses to want to justify their personal whatever.
Anyway, but the point here is that, hold on. The point here is that we are not to basically we're to analyze these things objectively, not to misinform the public. So it will be unfair.
Maazi,
it will be unfair to sit down here knowing the truth.
No, it is not about knowing the truth. We might have plans to build trains connecting all the 6 regions. These are plans, right? But when you are applying your resources, in such a way that you wouldn't be seen as misapplying resources. Okay, if I have planned to join trains from Abuja to all the 6 regions and to all the neighboring countries around Nigeria, and you are asked, if you are the president of the country, you saw that plan, you are asked to prioritize.
Listen here. I understand what you're saying. Even when that document was shared with me, I pick it back on the individual in question. And one thing that is very clear, because you can see where they've actually done, it's a very fantastic document. It's, it's about, I think about 200 and something pages. You see where they've done research, and you can see it mapped out the most lucrative route in Nigeria. And if I tell you that that's the most lucrative route in Nigeria, is not even looked at.
Exactly.
It reaffirms what you're saying, but what I want us to, in as much as I agree with that, but what we must say is the misinformation out there that because he's the president and he came in and he's doing that route. No,
the information
is about priority. Of course, he can have
the information out there. If I become the president of the country today, if I want to be nepotistic, when I take that report, I will do the one that favors me first. But if I want to put the country first, and I want to put Nigerians first, I will do priority on scale of preference.
Actually, if just like the one done by what's it called, GM, the Port Harcourt Medugri, if we actually look at it, the from that report, passenger train doesn't pay. What actually will pay for itself is the freight. But again, a president could not have said he has done a railway if it's only freight. So you see where politics, again, you don't want to kill your party, you don't want to kill your legacy, because if you say, oh, I've done our papa to Port Harcourt by this, and it's only importers and goods and services that will be moving on there without people entering the train, offering, because even in developed world, you say that even sometimes they don't even break even. That's why government keeps subsidizing in some routes, but hey, that's what it is. But
so, if you look at London, for instance, I mean, we are both in the UK. Did you see the network of trains you see within London city, and then how it's gradually moving out to other areas? You do not take that money and start to develop other areas when the center itself has not been properly linked. If Nigeria is properly linked, we do not need businesses from Niger. Businesses from Niger will be Niger will be the one that will be paying to come to us, because a lot of the trailers come down. Niger is supposed to pay for that route, not we paying. So let us again. I'm very blunt and very straight. So that's why at times when I come in these programs, I don't play politics. I want to just give it.
No. It's not
exactly the way. The way my mind. Exactly the way. Look,
we must listen. It's good whenever you're having such conversations. It's good you put out the facts there.
Out there.
Once the facts, no, hold on. Once, just like statistics, when you look at statistics, you can interpret it anyhow you want, right? But it will be unfair to say, me sitting down here knowing, having seen this document, now to sit down and say, oh, they started it, oh, they're doing this. No, you put up the facts first, then you can now say what you think they are intending to do.
Maazi,
which he said here. No, hold on.
Can I ask you a question?
He doesn't need to convince me. He has said it himself. Maybe the reason why he picked priority on that is because of those family ties. He said it himself, not me. Okay?
We have a lot of congestions in our Papa Port. You saw trailers all over the whole place, and Lagos is practically being overrun by that port. And then we are going to build freight to Niger. I mean, let's be factual to ourselves. But it's fine. Let us move on.
But when you look at the report, that's what I'm trying to make you understand.
Who wrote the report? I can write the report. I can write the report to favor what you want me to write.
These are consultants that were.
What's the name of the consultants? I might even want to know them, because
these are consultants. Listen now, these are consultants that were commissioned actually under Obasanjo. Their recommendations is telling you that it's freight that is going to pay. So now, if this document is there, Obasanjo came in, he didn't implement it. Good luck came. Mind you, there was a railway, 25-year railway master plan that had these Lagos to Asaba, Lagos to Onitsha, Enugu. And Jonathan, good luck, Jonathan had it there. He didn't do so. At the end of the day, it's if somebody else comes in, maybe let's say 2023, an Igbo person comes in and starts putting more effort in Lagos, Abakaliki, for instance, and it will be unfair for somebody to come on air and say, oh, you're doing Lagos to Abakaliki because you are an Igbo man. No, it might be, hold on. It might be because that I have interest there, but the design wasn't done by me, and that must also be put on the table. I can now argue based on economics that is the reason why I am choosing this. So, and now the president has told you that because of family ties, that's why he has chosen the other one.
Okay, fine. And you remember that I told you that one of the things I also like Buhari about is that he just says it. Okay,
exactly.
If Buhari is allowed to talk, he will tell you why he did things without being managed. What I have simply analyzed is the fact that when you look at economic indices and places where you can easily recover your money, you want to put projects in place where you can quickly recover the money and then go for social infrastructure. So you do economic infrastructure first and that's what economics are, that's what governments are doing worldwide. So it's not about, but if Buhari says he's putting it in Nigeria because of family ties, well, all well and good. We're all good.
I mean, I didn't say that. He's just basically saying these things anyway. So let's do the last lap of that conversation here.
Yeah.
What is the outlook for the last 2 years of your presidency? And then in retirement after 2023, what do you plan to do? Your presidential library, what projects will interest you in retirement?
Thank you very much for thinking that I'm okay. I have never abandoned my farm. I still have got a number of cattle. And when I leave, I will be going to my farm daily. I will try and keep myself busy. Between now and then, I will try to keep on convincing Nigerians that I mean very well. I will make sure that the three identifiable problems we have, security, economy, and fighting crime, I will continue to work on it. And as I said, visibly, we made progress in the Northeast, we made progress in the South, but I am overwhelmed almost by Northwest, and they are going to get it very soon.
Well, Mr. President, what will be the Buhari legacy?
Well, I will allow Nigerians to discuss it. I hope they will be fair to me. I wouldn't like to say it myself. I would like Nigerians to try and spend time when we came, both economy and security, where we were, where we had been for the 8 years, or maybe around, and try to work out. I hope Nigerians will be fair to me. This is all I need.
All Nigerians may be having fears. What's your message to the people of Nigeria today on your 6th anniversary, on where we are, and over the last few days? Last question.
Yes. Under the system, Nigerians would say what they want. They want their own republics. They don't even talk of the resources, how we can disengage ourselves, how we are going to share what we have invested when we are together. How are we going to share it out? How fair are we going to be to ourselves? and try and see our population, our young population. If we cut ourselves into pieces, can we win the confidence of investors, real investors, people to come and build factories, employ people, produce goods and services, and then earn from taxation, from employment? I don't like the way Nigerian elite is allowing ignorant or careless people talking all over the place. We have so much to learn and so much to guide together than to try and disorganize people's way of thinking that if you become a republic, things will be all right. Let them see how long it took us between 1960 and now, how we came about. We have consolidated it.
Mr. President, thank you so much for your time.
So now this is the end of that interview. Marcel, having watched this interview, the whole from beginning to the end, what's your final take? But like for me, I'll probably will start by questioning, did we need this number of people for that interview? I could probably alone ask the president more pressing questions. Or was it that they were not allowed to ask, because I didn't see on most of the things he said, I would have loved to see more follow-up questions, kind of drill him. I mean, the whole interview wasn't too punchy for me, but at the end of the day, one has to recognize that you're dealing with President Muhammadu Buhari, who probably might not be as, punchier in his response as, some other people might be. And 4 people, is it 4? Yeah, 3 men and 1 female asking a 45 minutes interview. Split that into 4 is just roughly, less than 10 minutes engagement each, or rather 7.5 minutes or whatever. So I don't know. It's but I think being fair, my fair analysis is it is better to see him speak, and you can see, because you can learn a lot from his demeanor, you can learn a lot from his body language, the unspoken words, all these things add up to know what to kind of play down this narrative flying out everywhere. Reading the comment section, honestly, it beats me sometimes to even read. People are still arguing he's not the president. The president is dead, and now I'm like, people, come off it. Obviously, that is President Muhammadu Buhari speaking. If you want to stick with issues, you can actually look at the content of what he said. But this argument, if it's him or not, I think some of us have really taken some propagandas to some certain unprecedented level. But be that as it may, what's your final thought and conclusion on the speech he gave?
Okay, in terms of the number of people that was involved in that, one thing I usually know is that whenever a question of we're going to Aso Villa comes in, a lot of people really, really want to go. So within the organization, there also be power play. But what I can also infer from that is I remember that a Rise program every month usually have 3 people. Is it 3 or 4 people? So there is this feeling that, okay, maybe that crew are the crew that will face the president.
If it was the crew now, then they left Rufai out, because Rufai can sometimes
exactly. And that's
but
why
maybe he said what was being planned. It doesn't.
Exactly. So again, when you look at it, I had expected the 4 crew from Arise TV that owns this morning show to be there, because they are the one that discusses issues and others. So in terms of the numbers, people would have said, okay, is that crew? Okay, it's just like if you're bringing the other TV, they also have their crew. So nobody wants to be left out. But you can see that some other people came in. But the main, if you see how they sat, the main people were directly, I think the lady was also sitting beside him, and then Robert was sitting beside. So you know that those are the main people. The other ones looks like they supporting
the organ now. He's the owner of Rise now. So
exactly. And then probably he needs to also give assurances in terms of you know, that is
I'll be there. No one will misbehave.
The
Yorubas, maybe someone will say, "Don't worry, no one." The Yorubas wouldn't come in there and declare Oduduwa. Baba, don't worry, they won't do.
And then remember that in that studio, while the camera is there, a lot of things are at the back. So there's a lot of.
But it doesn't matter if it was. Can you imagine? Maybe that's the reason why they didn't. Because just now talking about this, can you imagine if that was live? And
exactly.
says to him, President, what's your view on the Oduduwa Republic?
Exactly. If it were live, things they would have been more brutal. I felt those guys were also brutal, but maybe some editing must have happened. And if you watch the video, there's a lot of cut and join and all that. So in all, it is good he has come out to speak, and I wish he continues like this.
Exactly.
I wish he continues like this, so that at least we'll know the mindset of the person that is occupying the Aso Rock. That is one. And then the other thing I also want to say is that I would need to touch on election, because I know Nigerians are really beginning to lose faith on elections. Buhari is Buhari. You know, we need to give it to him. He is who he is. There is no time Buhari has come to tell you he is the other person. It's just that there is a polishing and a marketing jingle around him that sold some things he is not. So even when you see him, he's still who he is. If you allow Buhari to come out and campaign today, see the things he's saying today, he's still going to say it. So it's left for you. He's left for you to vote for him or not. And believe me, because people that marketed him knows that Buhari will repeat those things. That's why they didn't even allow him
speak.
They didn't allow him speak. Rather, they were the one pushing things to the public. So there was a lot of deception that happened. So that was the analysis on the brother. The guy is very honest. He's very straightforward. Although he plays his game, he plays his he tries to wriggle himself out of things, but he knows what he's doing. He has his agenda and is executing his agenda. He also knows distractions, and he allows those distractions to be dealt with, in his usual language. So that is the Buhari side. Now, on the country as a whole, I know a lot of citizens have lost confidence in elections because of a lot of irregularities that has happened in elections so far. But what I am also one of those that believe that, look, elections doesn't count in Nigeria. But on a second thought, I tell people that politicians will only rig and manipulate numbers if the numbers are very close to each other. Although the part I do not understand is what happened lastly when the last elections, when INEC has to go on recess and come back and start reading numbers. So there's a lot of manipulations. But I would tell people, in the midst of the shortcomings of the whole system, participate and stamp your feet on the ground. If we have close to 50 million youths or 20 million youths that come out and stand their feet on the ground and say we don't want, it will tilt that election. So I will tell people, go and get your voter register, come out and vote. And then I also know that in the last election, there was places where elections were disrupted. I don't know whether it was part of the grand plan to also ensure that numbers doesn't come out from that place. We are in a very difficult situation. We're in a very difficult country. We're in a place where a lot of manipulations happen. But sitting back and say you are not going to participate is even the worst of it, because you're also just telling them, okay, go and do whatever you like. And they will go and do what they like and bring in somebody that would also make us go through this harrowing experience for the next 4 to 8 years. So participating is a safer option, that I would say. You can agitate whatever you want to agitate, but on that day, go and vote. You can go and vote to ensure that the person you don't even want to come on does not come on to give you trouble. Don't say you are not going to participate, because they will bring the person you don't want to come on and he will give you trouble. So I will tell you, participate. Ensure the person doesn't come. Then after voting, go and continue whatever you are doing. If you are just agitate, but participate in that process and be sure that your impact is being felt. And that's my advice to Nigerians. I know we have a great country. I am looking forward to a Nigeria where every citizen's right will be respected, where powers will be devolved, and where regions can grow on their own, where the youth can grow on their own. I see that country. But if the people that are currently ruling this country are making it impossible, then they are actually giving more credence to those people that believe that there is no need trying to salvage this country. So the politicians need to really come together and let us do something that will further improve people's confidence in the country. That's my final word.
That's a very fine place to leave it. It has been a very wonderful time. Viewers all over the world joining us on various platforms. Once more, if you're joining us for the first time, you haven't subscribed to these channels or platforms wherever you're watching us from, please kindly subscribe, like if it's on Facebook, like the page if it's on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and also remember to share this video of these analysis. We will be bringing you more as we normally do in the evenings. We'll get you to analyze the trending events of the day. And join me tomorrow as I will be having my Friday hangout with Maazi. Okay, we know how we roll. We get your glass of wine, glass of water, or your glass of red wine or palm wine, whichever one it is, but it must be a glass of something. And remember to have this date on Saturday. We will have the street parliament where you have your say, where we decide, where we thought. We do this, all these things we do it respectfully. We do not use foul language, on this platform. Now, for so many of you who've been asking and who want to join the Telegram group, that link has been shared for you multiple times here. You can go back to the comment sections, be it on Facebook, YouTube, or Periscope. Wherever it is, you can see them there, and you can use that link to join that Telegram channel. People, it has been a wonderful discussion. On that note, I will say good night to everyone, and good morning to those of you in Asia that are just waking up. Good evening or good afternoon to many of you in the Americas. Thank you very much. Marcel, thank you once more for joining me. Marcel, once more, it's been a pleasure having you. It is always a pleasure having you here. Marcel is the from the governance index. Okay, so governance index is, Marcel, maybe you use the opportunity to tell us maybe 30 seconds what governance index does.
Okay, I'm the director of strategy for governance index, and governance index is an NGO that is currently based in the UK, and we have operations in Nigeria. And our main focus is to work within the confine of the available laws we have to ensure that governments are being held accountable in what they're doing. So you see more of our activities coming on. So what we try to do is to encourage people that within the system, whatever change you can change, and then we also begin to pressure people in the system to see how they can also bring about changes, more or less like a strong stakeholder engagement thing. So we will be working from both sides. I hear a lot of people say that if they don't participate in the election, that the election is void. The 1999 Constitution gives clear room for electioneering. There is, you need to win 2/3 of the entire, and then 25% of the of 25% of votes in the other states. Now, one thing the politicians has perfected is that in states where they know that the total votes cast, because you have to be 25% of the total votes cast, okay? So they will struggle to get that number, even if you're not participating. And as long as they get that number, the election is valid. The only way you would come to the fact is when you are able to avoid elections up to like maybe 90% abstinence. And politicians will always find a way to thumbprint those ballots and bring them in. So in whichever way we are between the devil and the deep blue sea, but I will encourage people, this country over time we would see progress. Let's just find a way to get these people out of the way, and let's begin to rebuild our country. Thank
you very much. That's a very fine place to leave it. Again, people, join me tomorrow evening for the Friday hangout. Once more, good night, everyone.